What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Carlotta Chat with Show. Listen, okay, well, or what's formerly, I don't know. We'll just say Carlotta for now. Listen, it's early morning. I was not planning on giving you guys a show. This is usually my Leave It to Beaver moment time. I'm usually watching Leave It to Beaver and fixing me something for breakfast and getting ready for things I have to do during the day, errands and class and everything else. Okay, but I said, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and talk, give him a show. Plus, I had an interesting discussion with a friend of mine. I was like, you know what? Yeah, I need to have this discussion with you guys. What kind of this commentary? Give you guys my thoughts on this thing today. I hope you had a wonderful weekend. My weekend was, I don't know, it went so fast. Everything is going so fast. I'm just trying to tell y'all, September has went by in a whirlwind. I I really don't know what to do with September. I don't think it's just like a blur to me. It's went very fast. And so I've been like saying to myself, enjoy each day. Like not try to live in the future because I'm a planner and I plan things out. And so my friend was laughing at me because I was like, oh, you know what? I told her, I said, I'm a Virgo moon, okay? Sometimes I know a lot of my friends think sometimes I'm flighty, free spirited, and stuff like that. But really, I'm a planner. They know that too. Some of them know that I can be flighty, free spirit, but in my head, I plan. Like I have, there is an organization to my chaos, right? And so I am already planning. Like I'm already like sometimes 4 days ahead, which scares me, And so sometimes I don't like to, I have to learn to live because what I've been finding, especially the last 3, 4 months, is that I have felt like not grounded. I don't know. It's something about after all the eclipses and everything coming on this month and everything. I have found myself whereas usually I could flow in that kind of energy and stuff like that, where I'm way ahead of the days and I'm living I'm in the particular, in this particular moment, but I'm days ahead. But now I'm finding myself less and less grounded when I do that. And I really just believe because I started this thing last year that you have to live in the present. Like it's so important to be present. That's very hard for me. Okay. Because when I'm already thinking about, you should think about, let me get this straight for you guys. Let me say this. You should definitely think about the future, always plan for the future. Like for instance, like this week I have this project due and I'm like, okay, that needs to be done. I'm already at the project done. You know what I'm saying? If I'm not gonna get, I'll be flighty and forget it. You know what I'm saying? But I have to already be at the project done, right? And even like, you know, I'm trying to really ground myself with my exercise schedule and everything. Just grind, but you have to be there. Those are things you have to plan. But sometimes I'm like a really weird planner. Like I'm planning 2 months down the line. So I'm living somewhere else. And so my friend laughed at me the other day because she calls me and she says, and I had a little bit of time. And she said, what are you doing? I said, you know what? I'm watching this video about cruises. She's like, oh my God. I said, I'm thinking about new luggage. I'm trying not to pack a lot. So what is my idea of a cruise? And I'm trying to decide how do I dress for a cruise? And she's like, oh my, it's like I got you. Calm down. I know you like to plan. I say yes, because I want to have everything done by essentially December. I want to be where I'm at. I don't want to be worried about the cruise by the time it comes. Like I even play at my hair braiding schedule already. I'm like, hair braiding schedules happen. She's like, what about, aren't you going to Vegas? I'm like, yeah, that's done. She's like, oh my God, when did you complete your trip to Vegas? I was like, it's completed. I'm there, but I'm not there. And so now she's tripped out about me because now I've already planned February, but I'm like, I'm planning because I have to. Oh my God, am I neurotic? I don't know. But yeah, so yeah, that's where I'm at. Okay. And so this morning I was like, I got a little bit of time. Do I sit and watch for my 30 minutes? Because I have I love Leave It to Beaver. Do I give Beaver my time or do I come on here and talk to my people while I'm supposed to have a show? Okay, let me come on here and have a show and talk about the hot topics that I was supposed to talk about. Because some people were asking me about certain things in my DM, and I was like, okay, yeah, I'll talk about it. And I posted about it, but I guess apparently, I guess you guys need to, you're saying, hey, what do you think about this? And so I guess I need to get on and say something. Okay, so that's my thing. So try to be in the present. I guess that's my it's a work this morning. Try to ground yourself in, because I'm finding myself that when I do these type of things, I'm not grounded. I'm all over the place. I'm like, whoa, what's happening? That's never happened to me before. Where it used to help me when I do that, but now it's starting to shift under me. So I'm like, wow, I gotta feel more grounded in the present. Learning how to do that. I don't know. I'm working on it, y'all. Okay. So that's y'all. It's a word for today. Okay. All right. So listen. Should we just get right into it? I mean, Cardi B, Cardi. What is there to say? I don't. I. I tell people, I was talking to a friend this week when we found out right after I got off a show. I did the last show I did with you guys. I think that's like she had said it like about 30 minutes after I got off. I saw the interview with Gail and I'm like, what? Like she said she was pregnant. I said, what? Not Offset? And she said Stefan did. I'm like, oh no. Oh, Cardi. Listen, babies are a blessing. Always babies are a blessing, okay? As I was talking to my friend this week, I said to her, sometimes, and I wrote this to you guys, I said, I think I put down on my thing. I said, I said, child, Offset left her traumatized. She went and got into chaos that she is used to in her life. We all do it in various ways until we get healing. And really, this is what this is, okay? Cardi B announced this week, if you've been under a couple of weeks, was it a week and a half ago? I don't know, that she is expecting a baby with Stefan Diggs while still married to Offset. Okay. Listen. Okay. So, do we listen to it? We listen to what's going on here. I think we should maybe take a listen to Cardi. She responds because what people, and this is from Cultural Millennials, but what I think people found out is that Cardi is, this week that not Stefan Diggs is like on his allegedly third or fourth baby mama, like this year. God. Oh my God. In the last, people are saying 6 months. Now, this is traumatic for a number of reasons for women because I'm asking myself, I see why the rates of STDs and all these things have gone through the roof in the community. Y'all just like fuck a condom, right? I mean, don't protect yourself. Don't matter. That's more disturbing. That's even more disturbing to me. But yeah, but this is how Cardi responded this week to people. You know, when people found out she was expecting, and this is how and other women were allegedly expecting too. This is Cardi's response. Okay. Uh,
That's your baby daddy, bitch. That's my baby daddy too, girl. Well, what now? I don't fucking know. We'll figure it out. That's your baby daddy, bitch. That's my baby daddy too, girl. Well, what now? I don't fucking know. We'll figure it out.
okay, Cardi, if you hear her, she said while she's cooking something, she said it looks like lasagna or something. She said, "That's your baby day. That's my baby day too, girl. You know, we'll figure it out." Oh, Lord jeez. What is going on? Oh my goodness. Okay. So I'm going to share with you guys the next one that happened with her. Since we're starting to talk, because I really, I like talking to you guys about celebrity news and stuff like that. But I really hope my prayer that when I do have these talks, it helps us in some way deal with our personal lives and ourselves. I kind of use them as, just kind of things to help us to reflect on ourselves and the dramas that we have going on in life. And hopefully we can receive some healing from it. So uh, uh, Cardi again talks this week, and she addresses fans saying she went from one cheater to another. So I want you guys to hear this part too. You know, Cardi likes to talk. Let me just say this about Cardi, okay? Cardi is a Libra girl, okay? She is a Libra. I have a Libra. She's a dark side. In my personal opinion, is a dark sided Libra, okay? That when you're a dark sided Libra, you tend to have problems balancing the scales. One of my best used to be is I grew up with was a Libra. Is a Libra. I just we're not that cool anymore. We're cool. I mean, we're just not. We're distant. It's not the same. You know what I'm saying? People you gotta go through, but she's a kind of a dark sided Libra. She's always trying to balance the scale. It's what it has been. It was always very interesting to watch. And the way that she like I have a stellium in Libra. I'm a Scorpio, but my stellium is in Libra. I have a lot of things in Libra. And so I understand Libras in a way. Much I do. And so you're always trying to balance the scale. You're always trying to live at harmony with people and things like that. But sometimes remember on the other end of Libra is Aries, right? That's the opposite sign of Libra. So Libras can go there, you know what I'm saying? So sometimes you have to if you don't balance that scale, you can tip over into that Aries energy. You know, it's but not in the way, in terms of going off and being sporadic but yeah, it's always Libras are very interesting. And Cardi is no different for me, especially in watching her in a relationship. Okay, constantly trying to battle scale, and it's sad to see Libras traumatic. Libras can be very traumatized by relationships, especially Libra girls. Libra girls, if they're not up on their game and healed in love, can do a lot of foolish things when it comes to relationships. You're talking to a Venus in Libra right here. You know what I'm saying? Now, my Venus in Libra works different. People say, "What's your Venus in Libra?" I tend to, people say, because I have a Venus in Libra, Aquarius 7th house. I'm more like Julia Roberts in Runaway Bride. That was my thing when I was younger. I had that Julia Roberts thing. Like where I could, because I could merge myself to what you were. Now that's not happening, but I could do that very much so. So Libras do that too. They always like to merge into. So it's a very interesting thing. Okay, so yeah, so I'm not surprised at the behavior of Cardi and how she's responding. To me, she's the Libra responding to trauma and trying to keep harmony within the trauma that she's already experienced, right? So let's take a look. Not an astrologist, but I'll just tell you, what I have my thoughts on it. Let's take a listen here at Cardi talking about this latest. Let me share this with y'all. Okay. Okay, and the thing about Cardi too, that's very Libran, she loves to discuss what she comes on and is very expressive. Listen, if you're going to be, understand that Libras are expressive. When you can't confine a Libra. It's very hard to confine them to silence in a relationship or to be quiet. That's a Scorpio thing. Scorpios like you don't like, I'm very Libran. I tell you guys a lot of things because some of my Scorpio people be like, girl, that's too much. That's not, we don't do that as Scorpios, but I know having the podcast, that's one of the things I agreed to do is try to be vulnerable. Now, I'm not very vulnerable as you think. I'm trying to be vulnerable and helpful with my own situations in life and stuff like that. But it's very Scorpion to not tell you our business. I'm very Scorpion in that way. Like I am very, very like, I'm funny. I am. I'll tell you, I am so I I'm very where Libras like to express themselves. Most of the Libras I know love to express themselves. Let's say have Scorpio in their chart, which some do, and it depends on the placement. They like to express themselves. They like to talk about relationships. They like to talk about where they're at. They like to talk about what they're going through. So it's not surprising to me that Cardi comes on here and is as expressive as she is on the internet and stuff like that. And she's an air sign, and she's a cardinal sign. So it's that's not surprising to me. Um, Scorpios, we were like never. As a matter of fact, you wouldn't even know who we were dating, right? You would not even know. We're just funny. We're always having a big discussion, like a couples discussion, whatever. People were all talking about if they started, if they got back into relation, if they got in the streets again and stuff like that. And people I know were laughing at me saying, you would not, told was telling my spouse you would not know what she was doing. I said, you would not. Nobody knows now. You're not gonna know. I only tell you what I want you to know. But no, you would not know. Like I'm totally so I'm funny about that. So it's horrifying to me when I hear Cardi do this, but because I'm a Scorpio, I'm like, ooh, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, but no, you wouldn't know. And I just, that's me. I'm very loud, but I'm also very, very quiet. Like when I was dating first started dating my husband, I was like, I was very proud. I was like, I don't want people to know. I really don't. I'm not, and I was coming into town. No, I was leaving town. Leaving Texas, at that time I was living in Kansas City, and I was leaving Texas. I come to visit him and hang out with him for a little bit. And in the airport, nobody knew. We were keeping it quiet. In the airport was one of his friends who spotted us, and I was like, "Oh shit!" And he was like, "What?" I was like, "Oh." And he's like, "How y'all keeping it?" I'm like, God. Because I am very, I'm like, shit. Like, I don't want you to know till I pop out. So I am like not the Libran in me sometimes wants to express things, and that's what the show is for. But the Scorpio in me says no, 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 and no, no, no. And I hated that. I was super pissed for that someone see me and they say, look at who's creeping. I'm like, oh no. And people say, well, why has a Scorpio you so concerned with that? Because I feel like once you're invited in, then you know too much. You know what I'm saying? You know way too much. You shouldn't know. Like it opens the door to other people knowing, and then suddenly what I need to experience in private and see I can no longer it's exposed. It's kind of hard to explain to y'all. The Scorpios are reasoning on things. But yes, so I don't understand. There's a part of me that understands it with Cardi, and there's a part of me that doesn't. But let's go ahead and take a listen, okay?
Most of the shit. It's more than just cheating. It was a lot. I couldn't take it no more. I had to go to a fucking hospital because I couldn't take it no more. A hospital. You have managers when you
Okay, and this is from. Let me tell you. This is I'm sharing this from G Monet, and it's I'm doing it's fair use, so you guys can listen.
have a management and you have a label. When your management and your label is getting together because they are concerned, it's time to go. When it's affecting your work, when you can't even record, it's time to go. And I left. And I left. God damn. I don't know. I just feel like I've been so happy for this pregnancy, and I've been so motivated. I've been pregnant, and I've been motivated, and I've been getting the work because every single day. Why you separated from a cheater to go to somebody else? Because I was tired of
Okay, so she's addressing why she went from Offset to people are saying why you go from one cheater to another. Okay. Uh Also, she also has one more she says here too. I'm gonna play and then we'll discuss it. Okay, this is from the Jasmine brand. Um I think this is from the Jasmine brand. We get more of the story. Okay.
somebody with. That's the 7 years in a marriage. Stop saying, "Oh, but you're still married." No, I'm legally separated. The only reason why
You're
I'm
married.
still married is because somebody wants me to pay for their taxes. Y'all want to know the tea? The only way I could get out of my marriage if I pay for somebody else's taxes, even though I pay for my own, and give them one of my properties. I'm fighting for that. I'm gonna fight for that.
Mm.
This is not no love shit. And like I said, I'm not gonna stop living my life because on a contract, I'm practically still married because somebody want to hold me hostage if I don't give them millions of dollars to get out of it. So that's what I'm going through in life. However, I'm not gonna live my life. Y'all want me to remarry and stuff to have another baby and stuff like that? I'm doing things how what makes me happy. I did it the right way the first time. Guess what? When you separate from somebody, one thing about it is I don't like broken homes. I don't like broken homes. But guess what? Kids, like my kids, they don't give a fuck. You wanna know why my kids don't give a fuck? Because their life have not changed. I'm separated from their dad. It's been a year, and their life have not changed. They wake up at the same time. They have fun at the same time. They eat whatever they want. They do whatever the fuck they want. Let me tell you something. I did things the correct way the first time. I fell in love. I got two rings in my finger.
Libra's trying to balance the scale. You see, she's trying to balance the scale. She's telling us hurt. And the reason why I'm using Cardi, because perhaps somebody's in a situation like this, and you know what, we can talk about it. You can have some get some help. Okay. She's sitting here balancing, saying her kids have their lives has not changed. Yes, their lives have, Cardi. If you're no longer with your spouse, their lives have changed. My kids don't give a fuck. Yes, they do. They do. And the way kids experience change is so different. Kids can bounce back from it rather easily, or it looks like it at the time. Children, when they experience trauma, kids can go outside and play in the next 5 minutes after experiencing something very traumatic, but it sits with them for a while, and it tends to show up later on in later years. Or it sits in them, and it starts to move in a direction. So that tells me right there that she's not only she's traumatized from the last relationship, and so is probably the children. And she's talking about, my kids not changed. Everything's not changed. If my kids don't give a fuck, yeah, it's changed. Like they wake up at the same time. No, it's changed. You're no longer with him. You're not only did you bring in the trauma of another man, now you have a trauma of another child. Well, it's not even the trauma. It's for the kids, though. It's a trauma because they're like, okay, wait a minute. This is a kid with another person. You and daddy just had a traumatic breakup. The ground is shifting again. There's another kid. There's another child coming, but this child is going to be kind of different from us, even though it's our sibling. It's from a different father. Those are things. Adults, you think that they don't affect children, but they do. Okay. So this is a young lady who has been through a traumatic relationship, and she was in it. Well, I did it the right way for a 7 time. Cardi, was it really a marriage? I'm not sure. Allegedly, they were saying he was cheating on you the whole time. I don't know what was going on. Like, some things we call marriages are not marriages. Like, you're in it, but you're really not in it. It's okay. Like, you haven't really experienced like that. It was never that. And I think sometimes women like her, it may be hard to admit that, you know what, I did not do this. I made a bad choice here. Not only did I make a bad choice, because it's hard for sometimes, not all, but it's hard for women sometimes to take responsibility for their part, even though the person was a cheater or doing whatever. The question is, why did you stay so long? How did this happen? Stuff like that. And just listening to her saying, well, you guys expect me to this and that. You expect not only, so her kids have an extra trauma. Can I just say this? Because she's famous. So this is playing out in the public. And no matter what you think, how much you're keeping it away from your kids go to school. Our kids hear from their friends or their cousins or the sibling, yeah, you got another brother on the way, and your mama's still married, and he got about 20 kids. You know what I'm saying? There is still trauma. I always try to tell adults, think about what you're doing when you have children. When you have children, you are restricted in ways that other people are not. You can't go out here and just do whatever the fuck you want to do. I had to tell a friend of mine that. Drinking in y'all, sorry. But she was like, why can't I have fun? Why can't I blah blah blah? I'm like, you can have fun, but you have to regulate how you do it. You have children. You have responsibilities. Your friends you're going out with do not. So you can go out for a night with your friends. You just can't stay out 4 nights a week because you got babies and you got responsibilities. You made these choices in life where other human beings are dependent on you for guidance, for wisdom. It's just like I'm watching right now. Love After Lockup. Y'all know that's one of my favorite like things. I love After Lockup. Okay. And one of the stories on there's Justine, and I forget the guy's name. He was like a rapper and stuff like that, but he's been in jail for a number of years. He just recently got out of jail. Him and Justine are married. Justine immediately starts having children. Okay. Not that she already has a bunch of kids, but she immediately goes in to have, like, in the last few years that they've been on Love After Lockup, she's probably had 3 babies, 2 almost within a year and a half, 2-year span or something like that. Very fast. Now they're doing this thing on Love After Lockup where they never got to have a big wedding, I guess, because they got married in jail. And so now she wants a big wedding, and she's putting the pressure on this guy who was once, I think, I don't know what he was doing while he was in jail. I think I'm not sure. I'm going to say allegedly drug dealing or something like that. So now you're putting the pressure on this man. You have a bunch of children. He has a bunch of children too from other people, and then you have 2 or 3 together. You've merged this big, huge family together. It's already very stressful. You've moved to a different city, and now you're putting pressure on this man to have $150,000 wedding. I'm like, bitch, please. You don't get to have that, Justine. This is my person. Now the show, probably Love After Lockup, is going to shoulder some of that cost or production cost. This is just my personal opinion. I could be totally wrong. They're going to shoulder some of that cost because it's Love After Lockup, right? You know what I'm saying? They're going to probably promote it and show it on their show, right? But you asking for 100, but in real life, a woman with several children and you've merged like a big family together, and now it's about 10, maybe about 7 or 8 kids all together living under one roof, and you're asking this man to give you $150,000 wedding. You can't get it. And I know maybe in 5 years from now, and people say, well, dang, I remember we were talking about her, one of my friends, and she was like, well, why she can't get? I said, because she's had babies back to back. I'm sure he has hospital bills to pay. Like, you made these choices, you knew what he was. And you, like, a single girl or a girl with no children could put the pressure probably, because she's like, I ain't got no kids. Right? But he is trying to start businesses, I think, and stuff like that to secure their future. And she's like, yeah, I don't care. I want this big wedding, because she thinks she can live like make choices like us, like the girls that are not in her situation. She thinks that she doesn't have children. You have children, and children cost a lot. And unfortunately for you, you can't floss like that. You can't have that kind of wedding. The only reason you can have that kind of wedding is maybe if Love After Lockup helps you. I mean, or he decides to do it. But it's crazy to ask him that when you really, in real life, it would be crazy to ask somebody that when you just having babies back to back. Babies are high, expensive, unless you're having babies with Jeff Bezos. Who else? You know what I'm saying? It's crazy. So you can't be out here trying to ask for single girl. I mean, single girl with no kids who has, set a standard. You didn't set that standard. Your standard's different. You can't ask for it. You gotta be like, God damn, I had these babies. I might have to go for the $25,000 wedding if you get that. You know what I'm saying? We might have to go 10,000. We may have to, hope for the best, because I know what I'm dealing with out these streets, right? But she's so delusional. And this is how I feel about Cardi B, okay? Cardi is delusional too. And not only is Cardi delusional, she is you. Sometimes we as people, we're used to the chaos that we are living in. And this is every last one of us. Like you could try to change something in your life today. Watch at how you try to change it. You have to get radical about it because the chaos that you are used to will come and try to sabotage whatever you're trying to change about yourself because you're used to certain dramas and certain things playing out in your life. It doesn't surprise me that Cardi immediately gets out of a relationship with Offset. It feels discombobulating probably for her, strange because she's been chasing this man for years and years to be this, to be that, to be this, to be that. And suddenly there's not a chase anymore. Suddenly you decide to give up the chase. Suddenly you're tired. But you're still used to that energy in that life. So the moment you've made the decision to change and you say, okay, I am not going to chase this man anymore. I'm going to not do this. You still are used to chasing. You're still used to trying to make somebody love you. Now where I see this is coming in, what she's done, what I'm seeing with Cardi, in my personal opinion, is that she's just switched off. What she's done is she still gets that energy from I'm gonna live free. She's trying to tell herself she's living free, but she's really still in that same energy. It's just she's just adjusted it a little bit, but it's an energy that she's very comfortable in. So I'm not surprised she got pregnant right off. I'm not surprised that it's by a guy who looks very similar to what her ex-husband was, because that is the chaos you are used to. It's just like when women are with women. I always say that women who have been in abusive relationships consistently usually find the other abusers. It never fails. Why? Why does it never fail? Like I said, Cassie, I talked about Cassie. I said I'm either my personal opinion with Cassie was that either Alex Klein is a tremendously my personal opinion. This is my personal opinion. Maybe really weak, or he's something. He's not what he appears because she's been very abused. So unless she's gotten some help before then, and every now and then somebody comes in your life and help is a help person. But I'm just saying that sometimes women who've been abused tend to pick up other abusers because they pick up the chaos they're used to. It's very hard for us to get, not only women, but people, period. When we are used to a certain energy in our lives, that's why in childhood trauma, like you always have to, I always pay attention. Sometimes I go back to my childhood and think about how my childhood affects the way what I currently sometimes accept in my life that I don't realize. Like I may accept something out of an environment that's not healthy for me. Did that start in childhood? Where did I pick up that habit to accept that? Because when you are used to a certain energy or a certain amount of chaos in your life, you tend to stay in it because that's something you're familiar with. You're familiar with chaotic energy that way. You might be familiar if you grew up in a household where finances were always on the table with your parents and stuff like that. You will create sometimes the same kind of financial traumas in your adult life. Or you will create the same kind of relationship traumas that you're used to seeing. That's why I always say it's always good. Most of the people I know, I was watching a show the other day on the ID channel. Very interesting show. Y'all know how I feel about the ID channel, okay? But on this show, there was two young ladies and their mother was killed by her abuser. And you could hear the young ladies like they have, because their mother has there were some very disturbing things within that show that they said their mother had decisions their mother had made. Like one time she left and they were there with this abusive man and he was being really mean to them and stuff like that. She felt comfortable to leave her children when she just to get him to calm down. When she would leave the house and protect herself, but she'd leave her children in that environment. I guess in her mind, he wasn't going to harm the children, but he was harming the children, right? He was screaming at them, being abusive to them, being all kinds of things. But in those young people's mind, because of what happened to their mother, they were glamorized. It was very scary to me because I said, and I remember watching it and saying, I hope they get healing in terms of how they view their mother, because because she's died. They were looking at their mother almost as if to give her a pass on some of the decisions she made. She did not make good decisions. She left her kids sometimes with an abuser. That wasn't good. While she may have thought it was good at the time, it wasn't. It's not my mom, she was very brave. No, she wasn't. Your mom ran off and left you. Because when you're really honest about that, you're honest about what that experience was. And it's not to be mean to her, it's not to be this and that, but you're honest about the decisions and choices. That way, you don't think those are good decisions and choices. And you don't make those same decisions, right? You realize, you call it what it is. You're like, that was not smart. That was not good. I love my mom. I'm sad that she's gone, but she made a number of traumatic decisions that did not help. And I did see this one night on one of the shows, and one lady who was talking about her mother had a very different response about her mother than the other women did. It wasn't that she didn't love her mother, she didn't hate what happened to her mother, but she understood that her mother did not take some responsibility for some of the trauma that she experienced in childhood, and she carried that trauma on into their lives, and the choices that she made and everything ended up to her, unfortunately, death. Now, nobody deserves to be killed, but it made her choose someone who was not healthy and who ended up killing her, or what y'all say, unaliving her. I don't know what the difference is between, because listen, I'm gonna tell y'all something about killing and unalive and all this stuff. I don't know why y'all say that. I don't know if there's some sort of political correctness going on. I don't know what's happening. But when you start to say unalive all the time, you're creating the same narrative of it that killing says. I don't know what you're still creating the same narrative. I don't know what you guys are doing. I don't know. I'm old though. Okay, so but still the force behind it is the force behind it. Someone's dead. Okay, but and maybe it's because y'all being monetized for this. I don't know, because I'm just sitting on here talking. I don't know. Not being, I don't know, deducted because you say that. That's crazy. Okay, so what I will say though, the trauma that those girls experience, you have to be able to be honest about that, because otherwise you will carry that energy over to other relationships. If you're used to chaos in your life, then you'll want relationships that are chaotic. I remember I used to see this well, when I was young, there used to be this family I would hang out with, and one of the guys, I remember one of the men, the young men in this family, their family would always joke that he didn't like a girl that was nice. He just didn't like her. He was not anybody who treat him kindly and everything like that. He just could not keep. Listen, if he was with this, I remember this beautiful girl, educated. To talk about, she was gorgeous. And you know who he used to have back and forth? He would be back and forth between this beautiful girl who had her shit together, smart, whatever. I don't know. Maybe there was something a little wrong with her because she was trying to take that chance on him. But he would go back and forth with her, and the other woman was unkept, crackhead, loud, partying, but he would have them arguing to the fact that the other girl realized, like, I'm too good for this. You know what? I come from a good family. I'm a nice. She realized this is not my environment. My environment is not to be fighting with crackheads who are unkempt. I am, at the time I think she was a stewardess. She had herself together. She's like, I'm a steward. I have my, and this was in like the late 70s, early 80s. She's like, bye. I'm beautiful. Man, I ain't gotta put up with this. And he spent the next several years of his life in this chaotic relationship. They be fighting, drinking, drugging, everything. And the girl he had that was a beauty had it going on. He lost her. And he went to what he was used to. Chaos. And this is why people, a lot of times it's your environment. It is what you're used to. And those things are so hard to break. And we're seeing this play out with Cardi B. But you guys also see it play out in your lives every day, or your friends' lives every day, where you say, dang, did that fool go and get the same dude? She just broke up with this another fool. Then she went and got another fool. Because there's a chaos that she's used to. Now, what I was talking about, that story about Justine and them, I was saying there that from the Love After Lockup girl, she was trying to choose something. But sometimes, like I was saying with Cardi B, going back to this part, let me go back to this part. It's important for Cardi to understand that she doesn't understand what her children are going through. And if you are in this kind of relationship, understand your kids are not the same after a divorce. Your kids are not the same after, and you should be getting them some therapy, in my personal opinion, because especially when there's fame involved and everything, to say, get online and say my kids don't give a fuck, blah, 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 that tells me how inattentive you are to the needs of them, because kids do give a fuck. And you'll find that out when they become an adult, because they'll come back and tell you. Or they'll act out their trauma as adults. So you kids do care. And kids have to deal with the fact there is a new person that in your life. And a lot of times, I remember I had one friend tell me one time she had two sons, and she tell me, I was asking her about dating, it was years ago, and she said, you know what? She said, honey, she said, I can hardly date these boys. These boys ain't gonna let them come up in here. She said, when I date, I had to be very particular. She said, I didn't bring everybody around my children. I didn't bring everything, this and this and that. She said, because I had boys, they had a certain thing, perception they need to have. They had a certain this and that. So I made sure, she said, there's a price I had to pay for not only just, she had her children in marriage, but she had a divorce. And she was like, I had to be very protective of my kids. So the choice was, I couldn't date as often. I could date, but they couldn't come to the house like that. They couldn't this and that. She had very strict boundaries about her children. And she understood there is a price that has to be paid for this. And so with women like Cardi, you thinking there's not a price to be paid for you and Offset breaking up. There is a price to be. It's like Sierra. When Sierra went to Russell Wilson, do you think there was not a price to be paid? She's dealing with still stuff from that. She's got there's a lot going on there probably. But she decided to change her environment and to do so in a very interesting way. She's a Scorpio, though. She can reinvent herself very easily. But I guess what I'm trying to say to you guys, that you can learn from this Cardi B situation. a woman who is having a baby by a guy who looks similar to in his lifestyle to her ex-husband. And she's saying, well, I just blah, blah, blah. And I just, listen, I'm just, this is the only way I can get over my trauma. Basically, what I hear Cardi saying in my head is, the only way I can get over my trauma is to create more drama. And it's funny that she has an album called Am I the Drama? Yes, you are. Can I tell you, you are? You are. Now it's helping for record sales, and it's helping for people like us, bloggers, and everybody out to get out and discuss you and everything like that. But how it's affecting your personal life is probably um, very um, it could be shaking your whole life, especially your children's foundation, everything. And if you're not very attentive to that, for women who are going through that now, you have to be attentive. You have to understand your life. You cannot do, especially if you have children. You don't have a right to, when you have children, your first responsibility is to them. You can't live like other people without children to live. That's the price you pay. I got a person right now I know. They have fucked up their kids' lives. No, they have. They fucked up their kids' life because they did not deal with their trauma, and instead they thought they could live like a girl with women and men with no children. No, you have fucking responsibilities. Your price it's different. You can't do that. And I really say it, especially when you have children, okay? Because you have other people that you're responsible to, and you have to raise them, and you can change the dynamics of their life when you don't come to you can create kids who end up traumatizing their children, and it goes on and on and on. And then you can raise up people who are angry and do horrible things to other people because you didn't know how to deal with your trauma. So I say that, use Cardi B as an example. Cardi B is a woman used to her chaos. And that's what she's doing, creating more chaos. Am I the drama? Yes, you are, dear. And it's where you're used to living. And unfortunately, I think for a woman who has children, that's a hard space to live in. Now, what do I think this Lex last baby represents for her? Focus and get yourself together. That's what I think. I don't think it means getting another relationship or stay in the relationship. I think it means go get some healing before this child enters the world. So because you're out promoting the album, you already have a chaotic experience going on with this child. At the same time, there are other siblings being born, other things being born around this kid. I remember my grandmother had told me something one time years ago about when I was born. She said to me, she said, she said, I really wanted, she said, me and Lee, and she said, your mom was really young. She said, but me and Lee really wanted to protect you from all the things that was going on around you because you didn't know, you know. And she said, so we really wanted to give you an environment where you were protected. Like all the outside circumstances of how you got here, it wouldn't affect you as much as, it wouldn't affect you in a way that, because it was a chaotic situation. My mother was a teenage mother, who was unsure whether she should have, did she want a baby or not? Now, my dad, on the other hand, was very different. My dad had asked my mother for a girl, which is really weird, okay? Because he did. I think he only had one kid at a time. He asked my mom, he said, I want you to have a girl. My mom was like, huh. He had a young girl. She's like, oh, I'm not having no girl. I'm not having no kid. But my mother ends up pregnant, and she ends up with a girl, and she's a young girl. She's 16, 17, right? And so it's traumatic for her. She's like, she's trying to figure out, hey, do um I haven't even figured out my own. I got so much going on. And that's a traumatic space for a child to be born in, because you're feeling whatever she's feeling. You're feeling the circumstances in which you're entering the world. Oh, it's important how you enter in, right? So you're feeling all of that from the beginning, and it was very powerful to me that she said, my grandma said, we knew, we didn't want you to feel, because you were already exposed to the trauma of that, as a bait, in the belly, because you're experiencing the whatever trauma your mother's going through, in the making the decisions. Do I keep this child? Do I not? Does this guy really love me? I'm young. All these things. And then, I don't really want no kid like that. And so it turns God, thank God, my grandparents saying, we got her. Okay. You live your teenage, live your years. We'll take care of her, and I remember my grandma said, when you were born, my grandma said, everybody was there. Your dad's, everybody. She said, now I was glad, because it was a space of love for you. She said, so I didn't want you to be, not that I didn't feel some of that, because I still was born in that chaotic energy. But because I had, not that I didn't experience my, still you have your own bit of traumas, because no parenting household or anything is perfect, right? You still have your things. And I have two parents that were not there, right? I was literally, I always say, adopted by my grandparents, right? So when but they created such an atmosphere that they tried to minimize what that is. But you still have to come through a way, right? So I say to women like Cardi B, or if you're in a Cardi B situation, understand that you're already starting an energy in your baby's life. Your baby's inside of you right now, growing. And all the trauma and energetic energy you're feeling, that baby's feeling. You're creating the atmosphere already for the baby. Or I always laugh, because when I got older, when I was younger, I would stay. I always have a problem with sleep. I've always never, since I was young, right? And my grandparents always laugh and say, it's because your mom used to stay up reading and listening to music and Earth, Wind and Fire and all that stuff. And I loved Earth, Wind and Fire from the time I was a little girl. That's right, because my mother was sitting up listening to Earth, Wind and Fire, reading. I love to read. And I had a hard time sleeping, because her schedule was so crazy as a young girl. She wouldn't sleep. Right? So those energies are what you're bringing a child into. Your baby's feeling energy already. Okay? The minute that you become pregnant, whatever the situation, whatever, you already start parenting. In a different way, though. You're already parenting. I know there's this rumor out here, something people are saying. I'm not sure if it's a true rumor or not, but I'll talk. Say it in a minute. They were saying Cardi B, when she was last pregnant, allegedly, or something, she was already sleeping with safe on. That's even trauma too. Okay, because there's a child. Listen, everything you do, you're already parenting when you're a baby, when you're a child, when you have conceived and you've made the choice to keep that child, you are parenting. The parenting process begins. because children are automatically feeding. How is a baby getting fed? How is a baby receiving its nutrients and everything? It's from you. And everything that goes, so all the energy, everything that goes in around you. I always tell people it's important to understand the space in which you were born in, the chaos in which you were born in, if you can understand it, if you can get it, so that you can, so that there's not that continuous, like if chaotic, like I love that my grandmother told me that, like I tried to as much as I could try to minimize it for you. But it still was there though, because my energy and everything was coming from this teenage girl who had a chaotic experience. Right. And so you have to realize that whatever chaos you're creating in your life right now, if you are a young lady pregnant, or if somebody know Cardi B, okay, Cardi, no, your children, not only your children that are here that are in the natural world right now are experiencing a shift. So just because you're waking them up every day at the same time and you're doing this and that does not explain the chaos of not having your dad in your life, or your dad and your mom separating, where they at first you thought they were together, or what little of relationship had, or the trauma that you've already introduced them to because he was constantly allegedly cheating on you or doing whatever else. That's already trauma. They see that trauma. They see that mess. Okay. No, they ain't feeling the same. And the baby you got now, you bringing in chaotically. Because you in a relationship, in a marriage with another person, and you who you say is ended, but still kind of ain't. You still in the middle of that drama. And then, which happens. Sometimes we can't help the circumstances in which the child is born in, but you can, like I said, you can minimize what my grandma said, you can minimize the drama by trying to heal your damn self, or trying to heal a situation, or healing or changing the situation. Because that baby, even though that baby ain't here, that baby is here. And it can hear, and it receives, and it ingests everything that you are ingesting. So this is why I decided to come on this morning and talk to y'all about that, because maybe it'll help somebody. Y'all give this somebody, how you bring a child into the world is important. Shout out to the parents who try to give their kids, no environment is perfect, right? But you try to bring a child into a peaceful setting where they can thrive, where they can make things happen for themselves. You know what I'm saying? Where it's support and it's love, and it's even kids when they don't have it, they still can thrive and stuff like that. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that it becomes the space becomes even harder for that kid. And when they do achieve and become all these great things, sometimes they're having to look at Hollywood, look at the music business. I mean, a lot of the people in those business, we always, people are always looking like Cardi B, the people they pick a lot of people with trauma. Because people who have trauma are easily manipulated, easily used, because they're already used to chaos in their lives. The chaos, like we look at that. People always say, I mean, I'm not saying there's some great people. There are not some great people in the music business. There's some people who have grew up in healthy households and stuff like that. I'm not saying that, okay? But I'm saying a lot of times we tend to see typical celebrity times. Sometimes at some point in their lives, we see them being taken advantage of, drugs, alcohol, all kinds of different things like that. And usually because they've picked a person who's learned how to achieve, right? Despite their environments and conflicts and stuff, but they haven't got their environment, that chaos, that chaotic lifestyle is still living within them, right? And these vultures of those industries know that. And it's easier to get somebody that's unhealthy and hasn't healed those parts of themselves yet. And a lot of times, like, out of people who are not healed, a lot of times they create very good art, but some of their art is chaotic and they're just spreading chaos throughout throughout to other people, right? But they can get a lot of out of them because they've learned to achieve in one way, but they haven't achieved it. They can't get their spirit man together. So by the time they look around, uh, these vultures in the industry have usurped a lot of their energy and their power and everything like that. I mean, if you look at the story of Michael Jackson, childhood wasn't very good, even though, hey, Black trauma in Gary, Indiana, growing up with a big family. Father was very hard on them. Mama had a lot of babies. The trauma of all of that. Yet he still was a high achiever in terms of the music. But the chaos of what he had experienced has a child he never outgrew that. And it was so easy for people in the music business to eat off of him because of that. Right. So you have to get at some point some healing, and you got to understand that children, how you treat whatever the energy that you bring your children into, it's real. Your children will experience that experience with you. So always understand that trauma, there is that trauma will affect you, and especially in the music industry. Oh my God, I see it all the time. I see people, they love to pick people that are traumatized. I mean, that they have a certain, I see that they have a certain, they like them young. And a lot of times they're traumatized too, in some form. Okay. It's hard to take advantage of somebody who's not traumatized. It's hard to get them to do art that is dysfunctional or crazy and stuff like that. If they're, if it you know what I'm saying? It's hard to do that with somebody who has had a great upbringing or had love surrounding them and stuff like that. And I'm not saying everybody, I'm saying some people. Okay, so that's just what I'm saying there. Okay, so I hope that y'all got what I'm saying about Cardi B. I said what I said, and I said what I said, and I said what I said. Okay. And you know what? I pray for her healing because she's stepping into this. Look like the same thing to me. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Look like you regurgitating the same thing. I don't know. And like I always say, I said to one of my relatives, I said, we repeat chaos that we in every week. Even me, sometimes we can repeat that chaos of our lives. I mean, I had one relative that just constantly, she just liked the men. She like, I mean, we was out of town, and one of my relatives was like, she said she was flirting with this man in the store, and one of my guy relatives, came out and said, "We gotta make a stop real quick." I said, "Where you gonna make the stop to?" He said, "We're gonna make a stop to the pool hall because them type of men she likes, so she can meet her some." He said she just used to chaos. She loves chaos. She thrives on it. And this same relative, I said, "You know why you do this? Because somewhere in your life you got used to the environment of chaotic people, chaotic men, abuse. And when you're not in an abusive situation, you're not comfortable. You're like, what? Because that's not your environment. Your environment is abuse. You have to you have to get healing. Definitely. Okay. Because otherwise, you're going to stay, that environment is going to sweep you up and sweep your life up. Okay. So that's what I'll say about that, y'all. So let's move on to these other stories. But I had to, I hope I addressed um, what y'all thought there. Okay. Uh, let's see. Okay, Young Miami, they're saying writes character statement for Diddy ahead of his sentencing. Judge, that's a good man. Okay. You know, listen, hey, he didn't treat her her experience, she said, was not the same as the other women. And by the time Diddy comes along into Young Miami's life, Diddy's older. It's not the same chaos has it's not the same chaos as it was during during his relationship with Cassie, which is maybe 10 years prior, almost 18 years. It's a very different guy, probably. Maybe not that different, but very kind of different. Okay. I mean, remember all this Cassie stuff is coming a number of years later. Okay. I'm not saying Diddy was right, because he was not. But he's serving his jail time, okay, right now, and I don't really think he needs to go no further, because just for at this point, what I'm saying. I just think if you can't get him for what he for the if the person that put him in jail for the hey, free, I'm for Diddy being released, okay. All right, so let me try to move y'all, tell y'all another. But I hope you guys understood that it's so important to gain a perspective on how environment affects you, and the environments that you're used to, and the chaos that you're used to in your life. And when something new comes along, or something that's good for you comes along, it may be hard to accept, because you're like, wow, I'm so used to the chaos, right? Right? So yeah, it may be hard to that. And that's with a lot of things, love, all kinds of things. Okay, Jasmine Crockett this week. Y'all know I ain't big on Jasmine, okay? But I'm glad Jasmine came on to say this week, okay? It says Jasmine Crockett says only 2 white Democrats voted against Charlie Kirk holiday, okay? And this is from Here's Why Kevin, okay? It says Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett says she is disappointed that the only 2 of her white colleagues in the caucus voted against a resolution to honor the late mega podcaster Charlie Kirk by memorializing him with his own day of remembrance. Okay, so listen to what Jasmine has to say here, okay? And the reason I want people to see this is because I've been telling y'all for years that the white liberal racist is no different than the conservative racist. The white liberal racist is a lot more smart concerning it, more dangerous, the most dangerous racist, because they make you believe that they're friends of yours. But one can look no further than Hollywood to find out how the liberals operate with race. One of the most racist places on earth, and that is worked to facilitate an idea about Black people, Black Americans particularly, throughout the world, good and bad, has been Hollywood. Mostly bad, but there's been good. They've made money off of our imaging, music, all kinds of stuff. Okay, but they've also perpetuated the idea of stereotypes. That has come from white liberal Hollywood. Okay. Um, let you guys see. Look at it here, you guys. Pull it up. Is it working? Okay. Okay, there's Jasmine. Okay. So I want you guys to hear what Jasmine Crockett is saying about this. Make sure this. Okay.
Most part, the only people that voted no were people of color, because the rhetoric that Charlie Kirk continuously put out there was rhetoric that specifically targeted people of color. And so it is unfortunate that even our colleagues could not see how harmful his rhetoric was specifically to us. And I can tell you that a month prior to him passing away, he had actually gotten out on his podcast. I wasn't aware of this at the time, but he got out there and he was talking negatively about me directly. So if there was any way that I was going to honor somebody who decided that they were just going to negatively talk about me and proclaim that I was somehow involved in the great white replacement, yeah, I'm not honoring that kind of stuff, especially as a civil rights attorney, and understanding how I got to Congress, knowing that there were people that died, people that were willing to die, that worked to make sure that voices like mine could exist in this place. So to me, just like we wanted to make sure that those Confederate relics taken down, the idea of a new age relic being propped up was something that I just could not subscribe to. And it is unfortunate that more of my colleagues, even on my side of the aisle, could not see the amount of harm that this man was attempting to inflict upon our communities. I do want to.
Well, first of all, Jasmine, and I'm not a big Jasmine Crockett fan. Can I say that? Because I don't think Jasmine Crockett, what she's displayed, and it has nothing to do with her politics, what she's displayed has not been the workings to me of a serious politician about the community. This is about the serious, most seriously have heard Jasmine talk. But what I will say is this: there should not be any surprises to you about the white liberals. This is what's happened. Black liberals have started to protect white liberals to a point that they even protect the racism about them. So if Jasmine's talking about I'm hurt, no, you shouldn't be hurt or surprised. And this is the type that you have her in Congress. So is she working? Is she surprised at the white liberal? My question would be like, oh my God, can you really be in there fighting the real work for Black America? I don't know if you can. Because you were surprised that the white liberal voted for Charlie Kirk Day. The white liberal, most white liberals are not all of them, but a lot of them are no different than the white conservative. They just have different methods. The white conservative supremacist is no different than the white liberal supremacist. They just have different methods of how they reach the conclusion of white supremacy. And one is a lot sharper and much smarter about how they do it. And they pretend to be your friends. So I know that this and Jasmine, I will say this, okay? And this is where the Charlie Kirks of the world are kind of where you're going, they're racist, but at the same time, there have been white liberals who have handpicked Black people, not all Black people, because it's just, listen, white conservatives have picked white people. White people, let me just stop. Let me say this before I get into say this. When Charlie Kirk said something like, when I see a Black pilot and I be like Jaquisha up there and all that stuff, that was racist talk, because people who have gotten the most moves and most things given to them in this country have been white America. White America even had at one time the reason why we have discrimination laws and all kinds of things, because you were giving each other jobs and stuff like that, and you guys weren't prepared for them either. You have been the beneficiary mostly of unfair movement in these. That's why they had to get the discrimination laws, EEOC, and all these things happening. We had to do this because Black people were not getting a fair shot. You would get there would be a lot of people just being rewarded because of them being white. So let's stop that, okay? But now what the white liberals sometimes magically learned to do was put Black people in, and Malcolm used to talk about this, put Black people in place to be the spokespersons for Black America so they could control them. So we have that too. So what you see on the liberal side is you have a lot of control, puppeteering behind the scenes. Same thing with the white conservative, but much more puppeteering, in my personal opinion, on the liberal side of the Black caucus, the Black liberals. Everything. This is not the same Black caucus not from 30 years ago. And I will say that what Charlie Kirk and them know about the real racists know. I remember having this, discussion. What real racists know is they recognize what other racists are doing. Jasmine, they look at you guys as having no control, no backbone, because you're controlled by the white liberal. You up here about to cry because you shocked. That tells me you really ain't qualified for the game. You shocked because the white liberal voted for Charlie Kirk Holiday. That tells me you don't know what you fighting. What you doing up there? Chat, please. Okay. What you think this is? What you think? But the white liberals that are controlling your destiny in Congress, you thought they were friends. They're not. They picked you for a reason. And that I will agree on Charlie Kirk's part. Okay, because they understand what race does in America. They understand racism. They understand it. They just think they don't like the way liberals do it. Okay, what the white liberal works to achieve is, in my personal opinion, one side tries to say Black people are not qualified. Now we know that's not true, because if Black people weren't qualified, Black people was doing all the work for almost 300 years in America. So you can't say Black folks ain't qualified. And when Black people get educated and get everything, Black people are powerful. But white liberals tend to pick, sometimes even Malcolm would say, Malcolm X would talk about how they would pick certain people because they know he has puppets, give them power, put them in place, and then control them. That is the more dangerous form of white supremacy. When you have a Black face that has learned to come into the community, talk the language of the community, act like the community, everything, but is controlled by the white liberal who secretly talks a good game, but all you have to do is go throughout the community, go to these white liberal cities and look at their hoods. go to Hollywood and look at the treatment of black people. Don't tell me about the white liberals. Don't tell me nothing. They the most dangerous of them all. Okay, I don't trust none. Listen, that's why I say politics. Say politicians are not personal to me. Politics is. Politicians are not. I understand that white supremacy in America is so deep that you're more than likely to have somebody who believes in white supremacy, black, white, or no matter what, in a politician's seat. My thing is not that. I don't take that and get personal about it. What I get personal about is the politics that can break that thing. Jasmine, yes, they were going to vote that way. And Jasmine, guess what? They control you. And the moment you have had quite the rise. I know that my personal opinion, I said they were trying to make her the new Maxine Water. Right? Because they put a lot of publicity, a lot of shine on you. That's on purpose. Now you guys have a choice. You can let the white liberal continue to control you, or you can decide the moment you decide to really start being a member, being a Black caucus, and really start fighting for Black Americans' rights in America, Black people's rights in America, you're going to find out how different it is. You're going to find out just how the white supremacist liberal works. Now, I do recognize there are white conservatives and white liberals who are not racist. But I also recognize that there is a lot of white supremacy running through both parties. And Black people can't be affording to sit and buy the bullshit. Speaking of bullshit, let's talk about ABC canceling Jimmy Kimmel. Listen, why y'all fall for anything? I want Black people to understand. This is why we're in. I really believe people feeding off our energy out here as Black people. That's why part of the reason we have such a hard time getting up. There is such an energetic feed off of us. Not only from people that we put in place and stuff like that. We have a desperate need to be accepted in society, and it causes us to make dumb decisions. It causes us to do a lot of crazy things, okay? And it's especially we can't see when we're being bullshitted. We can't really see. It's hard. Especially when it's coming from our own and stuff like that. But this week, Jimmy Kimmel. I can't. First of all, let me just say this: when Stephen Colbert got canceled, I wasn't surprised. I was like, "Is late night still on? Does anybody?" I can't remember the last time I heard somebody say, "I'm watching late night TV." I can't remember. I think the last time I heard is when Trevor Noah was on. What's that show? I forget the name of it. That's the last one I heard. Trevor Noah and the other white guy. That is not regular late night, and they watch Gutfield on Fox. I have not heard anybody talking about the late night. Let me tell you about liberal white Hollywood. They failed to have when they had a black American host with Arsenio Hall when he started to come back on the air. And Arsenio's shows, usually you get more culturally awareness in those shows and all kinds of stuff like that. The white liberal will have black artists on and stuff like that for ratings and things like that. But it's not that big of a deal. Okay, they'll be friendly to you and yeah, come on, host a show and all that stuff. But really, it did not have the cultural impact of an Arsenio Hall show. You got to ask yourself, where has the black talk show host, late night talk show host been in Hollywood in the last 30, 50 years? Maybe that's why the fucking late night is dying. Nobody watches Jimmy Kimmel. I don't hear about y'all talking about Jimmy Kimmel. Shit, I ain't heard nobody talk about Jimmy Kimmel in 5, 10 years. Hollywood just played a psyop trick on y'all, in my opinion. This is just my opinion. I can be completely wrong, but I think they played a trick on everybody to get you. Hollywood ain't listen to conservatives. Conservatives have not had that much of a influence on Hollywood since the Hollywood 10, when they was doing the communists, when they was thinking Hollywood people was in communism. What was that? What year was that? The 1930s and 40s? Hollywood ain't studied no conservatives. They ain't studied. You think they give a fuck about Trump? Trump is a part of them. No, Trump is a part of Hollywood. Trump had the #1 show on NBC for years. Do you think Trump ain't down with y'all crazy? And what they got y'all to do, because you so offended and you can't think straight. You so offended by what you perceive as racism. Listen, I'm trying to tell you, Trump and them, there is no, this is, first of all, it's a game of power with Trump. But let me explain something. They got y'all to go, put them talk shows back up. All white talk show hosts who was dying anyway. The white liberal talk show late night was dying. And they got y'all so offended by race that they got y'all to watch Jimmy Kimmel and them again. Nobody's watching that shit. Nobody. I know. Nobody. Nobody's watching late night. When's the last time you watched late night before? Y'all. They told y'all Trump got Jimmy Kimmel canceled because he said something about Charlie Kirk. If y'all believe that shit, Hollywood does not give a fuck about conservatives. They will, cause they are different white supremacists. They you don't give a shit what they doing. You don't give a shit what they say. Hollywood has spent the last several years trying to stop the other white supremacist, the white supremacist group coming in. Because they don't like the way they run stuff. They don't like the conservative. And they have all they shows that they have out lean liberal. Do you think ABC and all of them, first of all, Trump is their boy. That's the first thing. Let's get that straight. That's why y'all are so shocked. Y'all sitting up there, look at Beyonce and Jay-Z hanging out with Trump in there, because power don't do the same thing you do. They don't sit around and argue with their neighbor about politics, because they understand that's political theater. You the motherfuckers out here do that. They don't care nothing about that power. Beyonce them sitting up there trying to get a casino opened up in Times Square. So they don't give a fuck who they got to sit down with. They and y'all up there. Why can't let Jay-Z? He balling. Jay-Z don't give a shit. Jay-Z trying to make money for him and his family. He don't give a shit about the community. This motherfucker was trying to sell a casino off in the middle of Times Square, which we're gonna talk about in a minute. Y'all gotta stop. Stop. Wake up. They got y'all to bring back white late night. Because y'all thought y'all hate Trump so much, not realizing that Trump is their boy. Oh, it's a whole psyop. Oh my God. Not realizing that these networks, they done made money off of Trump for years. And normally they don't give a shit probably what they said. It might have been a whole psyop to get late night white, y'all to watch white late night again. I'm watching one person who I love his content and stuff. I follow, and he's saying, y'all watch Jimmy Kimmel tonight? Do y'all watch it? I'm like, nah, nobody watch Jimmy Kimmel. Wasn't nobody watching Jimmy Kimmel before? Jimmy Kimmel done got a boost from y'all. Jimmy Kimmel probably should have been out the air years ago. So was Stephen Colbert. It's time to replace them. But Hollywood don't want to replace them with true cultured shows. Like they don't want to put an Arsenio Hall on. They don't want to put a Nick Cannon on at night. Why? Why haven't y'all in 30 years had a black talk show host that could change the landscape of late night? Why haven't you done it? Because Hollywood, liberal Hollywood is just as racist as the white conservative. As y'all perceive Donald Trump to be. There's no difference. But y'all been wanting to watch Jimmy Kimmel for ratings because y'all believe in the political hype and political theater. And Hollywood, they got you at ABC to get out there and believe some sort of racial thing was against these men because they talked about Charlie Kirk, which the white liberal was good at. Now, wait, listen, the white liberal then approved a holiday for Charlie Kirk. A man who said he don't want no empathy. Jimmy Kimmel was on there even giving them empathy. Y'all better catch the vibe. I don't know where black people at. Where are y'all? Y'all asleep? Y'all, what's going on here? I mean, it's scary. It's just scary. Y'all bought the hype. I wonder how much rating, how much happened this week. How much raise did Jimmy? I was laughing so hard with how they were saying, there's a fight against keeping Jimmy Kimmel on the air. And I'm like, well, that's a lie. This is a Hollywood, in my personal opinion, psyop to get y'all to start watching. Hollywood ain't paid. First of all, Trump is a boy. That's what I'm gonna say that. Because Trump had played liberal cards and conservative cards. Okay. Trump was on NBC for years with the #1 rated show on NBC, The Apprentice. Next thing is to get y'all, they got y'all believe because they got to deal with the masses with political theater. They got to keep y'all engaged in political theater. So where they say, see, Jimmy Kimmel is out here canceling. Now, the ABC, NBC, CBS, who never play Fox, only one, who never pays attention to the white conservative suddenly cares about what white conservatives say. Suddenly ABC is saying, well, we're going to take you off the air for saying bad things about for saying something towards Charlie Kirk. What? And y'all got so mad because y'all couldn't see the psyop. Because first of all, that's not the reason. They said his ratings was low anyway. I believe all the late nights ratings is probably low. Because why? Who's been watching late night? Who even watching? Most of y'all don't even watch regular TV no more. Oh my God, they got y'all. Instead of y'all saying, you know what? That's what y'all get. Y'all need a black talk show host on who has a different view of politics and everything. Y'all need to put black people back in late night. Why we ain't got no black Americans in late night? Instead of y'all asking the important questions of Hollywood, y'all didn't. Y'all just ran out here and started watching Jimmy Kimmel, who was probably already low in ratings. Y'all just got mad and started protesting Stephen Colbert, who probably deserved to be canceled. They got y'all to reinvest in the white liberal talk show late night host, okay? Instead of reinvesting and saying, why ain't no black ones on there? That's the question. The real question is, why ain't no black? I mean, to tell me I ain't been able to find a black late night talk show host, a black American one, because you got to put that on there, because now the new thing is globalism, right? They try to replace black Americans with other people because they think they're easier to deal with. And this is no offense to other people. If you're talented, you're talented. You know what I'm saying? But child, they got y'all to buy into the psyop. And y'all not engaging in the real question. And white Hollywood can continue to control. Who controls more than anything? Black content, black music. Oh God. Oh, the white liberal is magical. what they've been able to do. They are the true. I always say they the real G's in white supremacy. People, the little conservatives, Charlie Kirk and them over there talking that crap, LaQuisha and blah 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 blah. They really don't respect. They like, yeah, well, you know what? Y'all don't know how to handle it right. Y'all let them know what's up. We don't let them know what's up. We make them think we they friends. And we get them so engaged with political theater till they can't see the functioning of white supremacy and how it really works. So y'all seeing them also protect Charlie Kirk. Like y'all was mad at CNN having Charlie Kirk's funeral there. I watched the whole thing. I was like, let me watch this. Because sometimes you just need to listen to what people saying. You can see how the way, you know, has the old soap opera has the world turns. You can see the world turn. Okay. Y'all, and Charlie, listen, I tell people go back and listen to some of that stuff Charlie Kirk was talking about. Listen to some of it. Okay. Because some of that stuff, he has some real talk. Even though he was a racist, racists have real talk sometimes. Conservative racists tell you the plan. They always do. It's the liberal that don't tell you the plan. The liberal, you know what? You know, I always tell black people, you know why liberals get white supremacists off the air for saying racist things? Like when they took Roseanne off the air and they did all this stuff. You know why they do that? Political correctness is the way they control part of the control of white supremacy. Listen, what happened during the civil rights movement was hideous for America. America had been telling the world, freedom. We're a democracy. Yet they had black and white water fountains in the South. They was bombing black cities for being successful. It was embarrassing to watch. The world had to watch black people getting sprayed on with water hoses and bit by dogs and stuff. The advent of television changed everything in a weird way. Just like the advent of the internet until they gained control of it, like television has changed things, right? But the advent of TV allowed the world to see, man, they're treating those black people unfairly. And the white liberal racists came up with a different idea. They said, wait a minute now. We've got to befriend these people. We got to do something different. In comes Lyndon. Lyndon says, I'm going to pass that civil rights bill. Old Kennedy didn't do it, but I'm going to do it. A Dixiecrat. The white liberal learned a very valuable lesson during the civil rights movement that the white conservative did not. They learned that they need to appear as friendly fire. The rumors were that they say that Lyndon B. Johnson said, allegedly, I'm going to get that civil rights bill going, and I'm going to have them niggers voting for Democrats the next 50 years. He ain't lied, did he? Without nothing. They realize that you don't show. Listen, the world can see us now. We have the television. White supremacy has to be done in the shadows. We have to go back to the days of the Klan. But this time we can't wear just sheets on our face. We've got to have a literal sheet. Not a literal sheet. We've got to have a symbolic sheet. And this new symbolic sheet is political correctness. When you come out and show your true colors as a white supremacist, we can't let you do that. The world sees you then. We operate in the shadows. They punish white supremacists. Political correctness is about punishing white supremacists that won't keep quiet about white supremacy. But in the end, when they still have the same goal. That's why Charlie Kirk, they all got together and said, well, he was a white supremacist. We didn't agree with his thing, but he still had our agenda in mind. And so y'all shocked that the conservatives, the liberals, is in agreement with it. Charlie's gone now. Okay, so they figure, okay, well, you know what, we'll celebrate because he still was about that white supremacy life. We didn't like the way he did it, but he still was about that life. This is time when the liberal gives his true thing. Malcolm always said that they were the wolves, and he was right. Jasmine Crockett on here crying. They only two of my white colleagues didn't vote for Charlie Kirk holiday because Charlie Kirk was still a fellow white supremacist. Very few white liberals and very few white conservatives operating within the political sphere are not racist, in my opinion. You have to look at both parties for what they are. And then once you get the idea that none of these groups really won't have my good in mind. That's why political correctness and all that stuff is used to cover things. Black people are out here fighting for DEI. Guess what? Let me tell you about DEI. Can we talk about Charlie Kirk even talk stuff about DEI and talk about black people was benefiting? It wasn't black people benefiting from DEI. Matter of fact, it wasn't black people benefiting from affirmative action. We probably benefited the first few years under the baby boomers a little bit, but who benefited the most from affirmative action and DEI? Why do you think they're getting rid of these programs? Think about it. What y'all think real good. It's not you, but it's not black people. Who benefited the most? You think it's you. It's not. You were just the face of it because you have like Yvette Carnell and Antonio Moore say, you have the justice claim. The real justice claim. No, white women did. White women benefited the most from both of those things. Why is Donald Trump and them going through wrecking these particular things? Well, the white birth rate in America and around the world, I think, is low. These white women have been making it, boy, off affirmative action, DEI, all kind of stuff. They done got rich. They done got positions. You got to be at home having some babies. You done let white women get too powerful. And which is hilarious because they partnered in enslaving black people. They partnered in the racism, but yet they benefited the most from a program with your face. This is how diabolical the liberals are. The liberals are diabolical. You can't. There is nobody that can fuck with a white liberal supremacist, a white racist liberal supremacist. You can't. They don't. No, Charlie Kirk told you this straight up. Okay. And he was lying about who was benefiting. LaQuisha, when I see a black pilot, no, when you see a black pilot, he probably really about his shit. He probably really on his shit. And when you see the white woman pilot now, you might have to look at her twice. Maybe because she benefited from the thing he said. Now, I wouldn't think that, but that's what Charlie Kirk was thinking. He wasn't saying that about her. He was saying that about black people because he assumed he was lying, in my personal opinion, lying and saying black people, making it like black people were the most people that benefited from these type of programs, but we weren't. It was white women benefiting from these programs. And why you think they going around wrecking it up? Oh, you're not the target this time, black people. It's, I often say, why did they bring back The Handmaid's Tale? on television. White women, they coming for y'all. They coming for them jobs. And unfortunately, black women just getting hit in the middle of it. Black racism comes on both sides of the coin. Even y'all out here buying Kamala Harris. Oh my God, Kamala Harris is the biggest seller. What Kamala out here talking about? She done wrote a book. Let's talk about Kamala. Where Kamala at? Kamala done wrote a book. I'm gonna try to read Kamala's book. Her crazies. Kamala is the biggest drift y'all done got. Kamala shouldn't have. They know Kamala shouldn't have run for president, and they trying to get her. She trying to come out here again so she can have a tour. To hopefully she can go back and Trump do so terrible that she can come back and resuscitate her one of the worst political campaigns ever. The grift on Kamala Harris. What's the grift on Kamala? Y'all didn't ask the right questions. First off, Black America, one of the things I think you need to realize is globalism. Black America is so behind in that. We don't understand how the racial dynamics are going right now. We're not seeing anything. Kamala Harris and Barack Obama have been children of, well, Kamala Harris, total child of immigrants. Barack, his father was an immigrant. His mother was a white American. Listen, you have not had a president that has had your lineage in America. You do not have a president. You have not had a Black president who was a descendant of slaves in America. From the American legacy of Black American culture. We have not had that president. When they used to say, when the old folks used to say, you ain't gonna never see no Black president. No, what they meant was lineage. They still, because the real enemy, see, the Kamala Harris's experience, she may experience some racial dynamics and stuff because she's partly Black, but her experience in America is far different from Black Americans' experience. Even they're finding out that even during some of these white Ivy League schools, that instead of having Black Americans and trying to help them to get in these Black Ivy League schools, what they would do is they would go get overseas and go get immigrants and Africans, people in the diaspora, because they said they were easier to deal with and they didn't have the baggage of racism. So you get what I'm saying here, right? So Kamala, y'all didn't ask enough questions about Kamala, right? Kamala comes from a Brahm caste. Her mom was from a caste system from Indian. She was a Brahm, I think, which was the top caste of. I have a theory on Kamala Harris. This is my theory. Okay. I consider Kamala no different than Rachel Dolezal, just with Black in her, just a little Black in her, a fourth of Black. Okay. And what I mean by this is, and now she's going around saying she's a Black woman. She wasn't in the campaign. She was Asian. I don't know. But anyway, Kamala, her mom, in my personal opinion, I would have had to ask more questions about her mom, because my assumption is that if I was from the top of the caste system in India, and I had this baby with a Jamaican man who's also from the top of his system in Jamaica, because her father said that too. And we come to America where race is at the forefront. I know I can't raise her as Asian or Indian, that she won't be accepted. I know I can't raise her as in this, Jamaican. What caste system Can I get this young lady in where she can achieve and she can take advantage of the benefits? My personal opinion, it's my personal opinion. Her mama looked at the black people and said, they got a caste system over there with black people in America. Light, skin color. I sent her to black colleges. She can be in the elites, in the elite societies, because black people don't recognize, you have not recognized your own trauma and your own pain. And so Kamala's out here next time run around that she tries to do. You guys need to ask her a bunch of questions. And you need to ask them why they're not running more qualified people when they have more Black American qualified people in Congress, in all over. Why are they not running? Why not a Susan Rice? What is going on there? What is going on? What are we hit? Why the need to pick immigrants and then sell them off in the idea of the Black American culture? It's something weird. You have to ask yourself those questions, okay? It says former, I'm looking at this thing about her from CNBC. She's talking about her, she was on with, this is from Fox News. It says, new book reveals what Kamala Harris moaned to her husband during Walt's disastrous VP debate. Harris writes in her new book, 107 Days, that she needed the Minnesota governor to be closer at the October 1st, 2024 debate, given that she was not going to have another opportunity to debate Trump. But during the debate, she turned to her husband in frustration. When Tim fell for it and started nodding and smiling at JD's fake bipartisanship, I moaned to Doug, what is happening? Harris wrote, explaining how she believed Waltz was duped by Vance's mild manner, all shucks attitude. I told the television screen, you're not there to make friends with the guy who is attacking your running mate. Girl, please. Harris, who lamented that there were more riding on Tim's debate than there should have been, said that being the closer and debating on such a large scale was not a comfortable role for Waltz. Girl, they put you up there because I think they knew they was going to lose. I think they knew you was going to be a loser. Okay. And I know you're trying to come back. Okay. Kamala, you did a whole hell of a lot. I hope this book talk about all the stuff that you did to ruin your own campaign. You just never looked smart. You didn't have a grasp on the subjects or anything. I don't know why they picked you. That's why I said there were more. Stacey Battle, who I personally believe, I don't like all of Stacey's politics, but Stacey Battle would have made a better presidential candidate than you. You did not have a grasp on the kid. I don't know why they did that. I have no clue. And then they're going to try to run her again. Help us, Jesus. Help us, Lord. Don't do it. And did she think these white liberal men wanted her to be president? Girl, bye. Get out of here. You was used for a reason. She was used for a reason. I don't know why. Okay. There was a reason. Okay. Some reason, but we don't know. Okay. All right. Moving on. Kamala out here trying to rebrand herself. Help us, Jesus. Okay. Now, I wanted to talk about this real quick.
You identify as. I can't believe that this is even a real topic of conversation. Yes, Christ should come before your identity as a Black person. And this is coming from somebody, y'all know I've been extremely pro-Black ever since y'all got introduced to me. I've been telling y'all, stop being baby mothers, stop abandoning your kids, because Black people need a Black family for the Black community. That's all. If you want to talk about advocating for Black Americans, you want me on your team, period. That's always been my stance. And even I am saying I am Christian before I am Black. Jesus himself said, if you put your mother, your father, your children before me, you are not worthy of me. He had followers that was like, let me go bury my dad, or I forgot if it was his dad or his mom. He was like, let me go to this funeral real quick. Jesus was like, let the dead bury the dead. If you really think that your culture, that's pretty much saying that you would denounce Christ before you separate yourself from your culture. That's what you're saying. And if you're saying that you're willing to denounce Christ under any circumstances, you really need to rethink, am I really a Christian?
Okay. So a lot of people were arguing about this young lady saying that her faith comes first before her Christianity. I agree with this. But here's the thing. I also believe that being rooted in whatever in a real in something like Christianity, that you have a love for your culture. A lot of times what happens to Black people when they get rooted into the church and evangelicalism, sometimes, especially the white church, you'll stop having a love for your people. You'll start sounding like Charlie Kirk. You'll start sounding like, you know what I'm saying? You start sounding like Candace Owens. You stop having empathy and sympathy for your people and what they've been through. You start sounding ridiculous. Same thing on the Black liberal side too. You start overdoing it. You start thinking everything is because that's the part of the white liberal control, right? So and the white conservative control is much different. I believe that your faith causes you're supposed to have you have a love for your people. God wants you to love the group that you came from. He wants you to honor the culture you came from. Honor your ancestors and your people. God isn't against that. But Jesus did say, you're going to have to deny some stuff for me if that's your faith, right? If your faith is in Christianity, it says you deny your mama and your daddy, everybody for Christ. And Christ was a ran. Jesus did used to say some cold stuff. That is one of my favorite scriptures where Jesus said, people thought Jesus was just out there just like among the preaching among the people and being like, yes, and peace be unto you. Jesus was wild. Jesus went over in the temples when they were selling that stuff in the marketplace, and he turned in the temple and he turned over them tables and called them a band of vipers. And then Jesus when the man said, hey, Jesus, you know what? I want to come and I want to preach with you. Okay. But I got to first go home because my daddy just died. Okay, Jesus, my daddy just died. Okay. I got to go bury my daddy. Okay. And I'm going to come back, Jesus. I'm going to be out here with you. Jesus just looked at him and said, let the dead bury the dead. I'm like, Jesus, the man's daddy done died. And you tell him to let the dead bury the dead. Jesus like, listen here, I'm on a mission. I got 33 years to do it. You either coming now or you not. Jesus was cold. She ain't lying on that. But it didn't tell you to disrespect or not have empathy or sympathy for what your people have been through. What you often see with sometimes the Black conservative on the Black conservative side is a denial of what slavery did to Black people. Like they'll have a whole denial. They'll be like, oh, it wasn't that bad. They'll start saying crazy stuff. Oh, thank God, thank God we were slaves. I was just like, yes, there was a good that came out of evil, but you can't deny that the system of slavery was evil. God would not have you deny a truth. And he wouldn't have you not lack empathy and sympathy for your people and say mean things and cruel things. I'm not saying this young lady did that, but I am on here. I will agree with her. She is right on that. Your faith outweighs your culture. In terms of if your faith believes that it is important for you to be kind to all people, regardless of their race, regardless of who they are, you have to address, you can't be just culturally, yes, you love your people as a culture. Paul loved the Jews. Paul said, I wish I could teach you. I read about Paul. Paul was an avid lover of Jewish people, his people. He's like, I wish I could just give them this gospel that I could die. I die for it for them. He loved Jews. Paul was a lover of Jews. Matter of fact, Paul was such a lover of the Jewish. You read what Paul was before he became, when he was Saul. He was running around killing Christians because he thought they was a threat to Jews. Paul studied in the top. Jesus had, listen, if you believe the word of God, if you believe the gospels, okay, you know, Paul was so in love with Judaism. Paul studied under the top people in Judaism. Okay, Saul, when he was Saul, and Saul was such an advocate defender of Jews that Judaism and the certain things that Saul, he was such an advocate of it. He hated Christianity that Jesus had to appear to Saul himself on the Damascus road and said, "Hey, yo, Saul." Had to blind Saul for a couple of days. Say, Saul, why you persecuting me? What you doing? Why you messing with my people? That's how Saul becomes Paul, and the writer of most of the New Testament. He was a murderer. He was a murderer of Christians. Y'all better read about it. And still loved his people, even when he became Paul. When he became Paul, check this out. The other disciples were scared of him. They didn't even want to be around him. They like, shh, that's that dude up there killing it. We ain't trying to hear. Another person had to bring him into the fold. So I forget how it went, but they had to say to him, hey, Paul is good. He ain't the same no more. All of them didn't even want to be around him because they knew what he was. He was a staunch defender. Paul loved the Jewish people. That's why God gave him the Paul actually had the ministry of the Gentile. Y'all don't understand. Wait a minute. What this girl is saying is very right. Paul had the ministry of the Gentiles who he didn't always like. But God said, hey, you got to go out and preach this gospel to everybody. I know, but Paul still had more love in his heart. He still wanted his culture to do. I wish they could have it. I want them to have the word. He loved them more than anything. But he still made a practice of the Gentiles. Paul was not a Gentile, friend to the Gentile. That was God. That Paul became that. Y'all better keep game. Read y'all Bibles if y'all Christians. She ain't lying to you. Okay, so we're going to take a quick break real quick, and I'll be back in just a second. Y'all got to take a quick break. I'll be back in a moment, okay? Just a quick one, okay? And we'll finish this up, all right? All right, well, I'm going to let y'all listen to Feeding the Ducks. I don't know what this is. All right, you guys, we are back on the Carlotta Chadwick Show. Okay, I hope y'all like feeding the ducks. Okay, but what I was saying about this young lady ahead of time about the faith and Christian faith is that the man who wrote the New Testament himself was a staunch defender of his culture and his cultural background to the point that he was a radical, did not like Christianity. It wasn't until he had the supernatural experience of meeting Jesus on the Damascus Road, y'all know the famous story of the Damascus Road, that he changed. But he still had love for Jews. He still had love for Paul. You have to read about the background of Paul. So I always tell people to study Bible, you really have to understand it's a lot to that. Right? You need to know the people and the characters and what you're talking about and everything, right? But a lot of Christians use this. A lot of Black conservative Christians nowadays use this to say, so they can say all kind of foul stuff that the white Christianity, white supremacist Christianity has taught them to say. They have this idea that Black people don't deserve help and thinking that white people didn't have no help. White people got all kind of help in this society. White people just didn't make it up. I pulled myself up by bootstrap. Child, please. Okay. And so it causes a lot of times what happens in some of these white churches, not all, but some of these white churches will have Black people. They mix in, there's white supremacy attitude in church attitude. And we all are the same. We all are this in denial of what has happened to Black people in America. But true faith, true Christianity would never do that. It would recognize, hey, this has been a group that has been hurt. Most abolitionists were Christians. The abolitionists, like we fought with Nat Turner and all those, a lot of even under the Underground Railroad were Christians who took the faith seriously, who said, hey, y'all shouldn't be having these people enslaved. Well, I'm gonna risk my own life and my own things. They went against their culture and said, my faith says that these people are human. Right? So that was a moment when white people went against their culture, well, saying at the time, hey, treating them like this, treating them like that. They said, hey, no. And even some of them still held racial prejudices and stuff like that. But in spite of their prejudices and stuff like that, they built with Black people the Underground Railroad. And a lot of them risked their lives to do so. And some of them even lost their lives because, think of Nat Turner. I forget who was with Nat Turner, the man's name. I forget his name. With Nat Turner, because they felt slavery was wrong. The institution of slavery was wrong. So yes, so when you say that you gonna pick your faith over, make sure you are also showing that sometimes that doing so could turn you against what society is telling you to do. Could turn you against the slave. Turn you against the ideas of slavery and the ideas of this. Even Abraham Lincoln, in some ways, even though Abraham Lincoln was mostly moved by politics, but in some ways he was moved by his faith too. He always felt that slavery was wrong, even though he didn't feel, he still had a lot of racial prejudices. So yeah, that's true. Okay. All right. So moving on to our what's the next story, y'all? Got, so we hurry up and get these stories, child, because we talked about Cardi. Kanye's documentary, child. It's coming, child. I saw him screaming at Chris. That's all I can say on that note. I don't know. Anyway, let's talk about Jay-Z and trying to Jay-Z. Oh, Jay-Z. Jay-Z tried to sell y'all off he tried to sell off it wasn't really him, because Jay-Z ain't really the one in charge. It's somebody behind this, but sell off this casino in the middle of Times Square. I don't believe casinos should be, unless it's Vegas or Atlantic City, should be anywhere within city limits. Because what casinos do to communities is crazy. It's scary, all the gambling and shit we see going on today. I've heard stories of celebrities gambling so damn much. Like, let me tell you how bad gambling. When you got gambling so damn much that's why they do shows at casinos. Some people say that. I heard a specific celebrity, he gambled like allegedly. I ain't gonna say nothing, but y'all will know. Y'all put it in Google. They probably pop up that he gambled like $50 million, $100 million. He didn't have it, and he had to do a series allegedly of shows at this place in Las Vegas to pay back the money. Man, that's how dangerous gambling is. Okay. I'm cheap. Now listen, I sit down, I don't like it. I hate it. I can't stand it. I barely can pay $20 or $30. I'm telling y'all the truth. I be like, I be out. Gambling ain't my cup of tea. I don't like to see money go. I be like, But I can understand how the addictive nature of it happens. Because once you start winning, you like, let me go one more time. One more shot. I understand. I have relatives can sit down there for 24 hours at a machine. One machine, just sit there. Ching, 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 put money in. I have people I know that can go to them tables. I remember I went somewhere and I came back and some friends were still at the table. These one of them crap tables 5 hours later. I said, y'all crazy? We done with tourism. We done seen how the city and y'all motherfuckers here like crackheads. Oh my God, JC was trying to sell that out. JC, you bullshit. JC, stop it. We ain't gonna do nothing but get your ass in trouble. They gonna think they gonna eat your ass up there. Vanity Fair has an article about Jay-Z. Inside the war over Jay-Z's New York casino, the rap legend recruited everyone from Alicia Keys, Al Sharpton, to Charlemagne the God to land a 5.4 gambling palace in Times Square. He didn't count on one thing: theater kids. Shout out to the theater. Listen, it's culture. They like, nope, the fuck? You about to come up, you gonna take our theater money? We barely making it theaters, barely making it now. Fuck, you gonna come with some bullshit casino. We'll put a theater in the casino. JC is funny. Now, y'all, I can't believe y'all in New York still let this man come and play in y'all face. Why y'all let Jay-Z come and play in y'all face? Y'all still let this man come play in your face. This man nearly gentrified all of Brooklyn, they say. Got most of the black people had to give up houses and homes and stuff for the Brooklyn Nets. Went around and sold y'all that he was some sort of owner when he owned 0.0.0.0.0.0.0.0.0.0.0.0.0.0. If I started with the O's, is it enough O's? 0.0.0.0.0.0.0.0.0. I can't finish. 1% allegedly of the Brooklyn Nets. He went around as a mascot, and black people was like, "Oh, you know what? That brother trying to do it. That brother, you know, we be naive like that, trying to help his ass. And what he do? He ain't do nothing but gentrify your ass out of Brooklyn." I went to the Brooklyn in the early 90s. Shit, it looked way different when I went there last time. This is the last time I was 2018. I was like, God, yeah, what happened to y'all? It was like completely, it was like all nice. I was like, wow. Even when the Clintons moved to Harlem looked different. I was like, whoa. Because y'all thought the Clintons, oh, look at the Clintons, look at they coming down here. You know, he the first black president. He opening up an office down here with us. You know, he want to be around us. No, he didn't. He wanted that, my personal opinion, they wanted that property. That was good property. Get other white people to come down here. Listen, we got look, we see us safe down here. We take over down here. Pretty soon, y'all start having stuff like shit like Harlem Heights and shit like that. Y'all were just unbelievable. Every black person ain't your friend. And y'all should have known Jay-Z was on some bullshit when he tried to get through, talk about something about $500 investment I done heard about. Come on, let me get out of here. Oh, y'all should know better by now. What is going on in New York? What happened? Motherfuckers can barely afford to live there, and this motherfucker trying to open up a casino. I'm trying to bring some jobs. Shut up. Like this sis I heard on Woke Pop Culture. She said, why don't y'all ever think of grocery stores and hospitals and shit the community need? Motherfuckers come with some gambling. Nas, you too. Tens of billions of dollars, thousands of jobs, and quite possibly the fate of New York's most iconic industry and most awful tourist trap were all at stake. But the closing days of years-long fight over whether to build a casino in Times Square seemed to revolve around one man, Jay-Z. Mascot. You could see it over the summer when Al Sharpton, oh God, headlined a rally just south of Times Square, iconic red steps. Do these people even care about black? Do they even care? Say yes to time. Say yes time. Yes time. Oh God. Al Sharpton up here promoting a casino. My God. Ain't he a preacher? I ain't against casinos. I like me going to play a little round here and there. I just don't think they should be within city limits. Because I've seen what casinos do to people. People go out there with their whole fucking checks who poor. Times Square, Jay-Z, he shouted. Oh my God, this is just. You could see it last week at the Broadhurst Theater on 44th Street, the site of the final public hearing on the casino before a do or die vote. For the first time, promised Mark Holliday, the CEO of the city's largest commercial real estate firm, everyone has a seat at the table with Jay-Z at the head. If y'all think Jay-Z is at the head, y'all don't know. Jay-Z, wasn't he the head at the, wasn't he supposed to be the head with Brooklyn, the Nets? Y'all should, yeah, every time y'all see Jay-Z coming to New York, y'all should be like, oh shit, what kind of shit he about to sell us this time? That's how y'all should be. Oh, here he comes. You know, there's a certain relative, excuse me. I used to have this one relative that he always was selling, and God bless him. He was always trying to sell different stuff. And one time he was coming, and everybody was at. It was at the. It was at a wake. No, it was at the after a repast. And everybody saw him say, "Oh shit, what he about to try to sell us some bullshit? He tried to sell us even at the repast. He was giving out them cars. He had cars because he was starting insurance." I love black people. Oh, look at him, what he done got into there, trying to get us to buy it. Listen, that's how y'all should be when y'all see Jay-Z. Oh, what kind of scandal he got coming off here. Mm-hmm. See, you know, I'm trying to start, you know, this business. Who else with you? That's the first thing you need to ask. Who else with you, Jay? Well, you know, I'm at the head of it. Are you really? Is that Live Nation back there? I don't know who it is. Who is that back there? Who's back there? Is it somebody else? Come on now, let's quit playing, okay? Y'all can't. Y'all gotta stop taking Jay-Z seriously. In New York, stop taking Jay-Z seriously. Hove through his entertainment firm, Rock Nation, poured hundreds of millions. Oh, that's why him and was this allegedly why they was allegedly it's rumors that they was barring up against their house. But I digress. Dave Dash was coming up there at Breakfast Club trying to spill out. See, you got to borrow hundreds of millions to get your house. You a billionaire? Dame is hilarious. Dame like, y'all brought me down. I'm bringing everybody down. Oh, God. This is funny. Okay. Rock Nation poured 100 million into the stake of the project, according to CEO Desiree Perez, that's a whole nother story. The CEO of Rock Nation. Lord have mercy. The Rock Nation joined holiday companies SL Green and Caesars Entertainment in spending millions and millions. Okay, there's the guys. There's the real people behind it. Millions and millions more, promoting it to sometime wary lawmakers, municipal bureaucrats, and the public at large. The goal: secure one of 3 licenses for casinos in the New York City area. On Wednesday, everything fell apart. Before a bid could even be considered by the state's regulators, it had to capture 4 of 6 votes from a community advisory committee, all appointed by local politicians. The vote finally happened after years of buildup, and the committee decisively rejected the bid, 4-2 against Jay-Z's big play in Times Square, despite support from Mayor and Governor of New York. And listen, it's stupid. It's not a smart thing to bring a casino. The last thing tourists need to be trapped up in Times Square. I already saw a bunch of homelessness and shit. Y'all already got motherfuckers robbing and stealing up there on Times Square used to back in the day. Y'all think a casino come there when ain't gonna be more drama? Shit. The police gonna be working overtime up there if you got a casino. Y'all don't understand. Don't tell Jay-Z up there sell y'all this some bum ass idea he got. Trying to give him and Beyonce some extra coin. Jay-Z, get up out of here. Boy, if you don't get your, how's your Rock Nation? How these artists doing on Rock Nation? Sure. That's what I'm trying to, while you up here selling casinos. How them artists doing over there at Rock Nation? How them people doing over there at them sporting agents and stuff like that? What's going on there over there? Shoot, Beyonce, while you out here trying to use you as allegedly, they say has a little thing, a little pawn in it. How's Holy Chloe and what's the girl's name? Chloe and Haley doing? Motherfuckers can't even run. Y'all got them trying to give a casino. They so funny. But you know what? White capital is realizing Jay-Z and Beyonce. I understand why the move to Europe allegedly is happening. because white capital is starting to see y'all ain't what they thought y'all was. Y'all can't even sell the fucking casino. White capital, are y'all dumb? Wait a minute. Hold on. White capital, come pull up. Pull up. Hey, where you at? Come here. Come close. Come close. What made y'all think? These people. One only has to look at Rock Nation, Tidal. What else we got? Adidas. What else we got? Should I bring in what's the other? Well, Miss Tina line. Nah, that ain't fair. What's the other one? What's the one they used to have? House of Darion. Well, he was successful in Brooklyn. That was a one-off. You now see the answers. Why do you keep? Is the perfume out there going? Beyonce perfume, Sir David. I can go on and on. Ace of Spades. Diddy would have been better at something than all the shit that he done did. Come on. Did y'all think these people was really gonna be able to sell off a casino after they literally allegedly people blamed them for the gentrification of Brooklyn? Did you really think this man was gonna have this much clout to be able to come on? They know. Babe, Jay-Z and Beyonce. I don't know. I might go to Europe too. I don't know if I go to Europe because they got a extradite in case, something pop off with the security, because I'm hearing rumors. Security and Exchange Commission about, people saying streaming. I don't know. That's what I'm hearing out in these rumors. I'll probably go to Bali with Russell. You know what I'm saying? Like, get you a nice house in Bali, chill. Mess these people casino deal up and shit. They was dumb to even believe in that bullshit. Jay-Z, that was a one-off. They was dumb to believe in the bullshit in the first place, okay? Now these people probably mad they put their investment in the wrong people, but that's their fault, because you didn't have to look too far. You can look at all these deals. You look at Disney. What Disney give Beyonce? How much was it? Let me quit laughing. Oh Lord, let me finish reading this article. I'm making Beehive mad. We not saying give it to us because we happen to be Black, Hispanic, and female, Perez tells me. What? Right before the big vote. No, that's not what we're saying. Of course not. But we are saying don't ignore who we are and what we stand for, where we come from, where we've been. And this is what y'all got to offer a casino. Everything we've accomplished, please don't ignore that. Shut up. Desiree, you don't want them. Desiree Perez, you was not the person to say this, but I digress. Okay. I mean, a lot of stuff has come out over the last several years. I don't know if you were the person to say all this, because one only has to go and pull a background. Anyway, and as far as opposing the casino, the theater types who worry that tourists might gamble away their Broadway money, or that the casino might poison Broadway's delicate ecosystem, create traffic Armageddon in Midtown. Well, to borrow a phrase from a different rapper, not like us, Jay-Z allies argued that opponents were just a bunch of finger-wagging hall monitors standing in the way of thousands of Black and brown people getting casino jobs. I'm so tired of them. These people are crazy. They actually was using that little trope to try. See, this is what's going on. Black people, we can't, you know what? Y'all better not, every time y'all, like I said, y'all better start treating Jay-Z like we used to treat the relative They always come with a bum business deal. Like after a little while, you gotta be like, oh, this is about to get us in some shit. But you know what? It's sidebar. The man who started Macy's, they said, used to do that. He had used to come with relatives all the time. He had wore out his relatives, and one relative said, "You know what? I'm gonna give you one more chance," and gave him the money, and that's created. He finally got one with Macy's. That's a different story, okay? Jay-Z ain't that. Okay, Jay-Z up here trying. Jay-Z that got desperate now out here trying to sell a casino. And I'm afraid this is probably white capital's last dance with Jay-Z. So, you know, I don't know. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's some more suckers out there. I don't know. But one thing y'all can stop saying is Jay-Z is for the community. Okay. Jay-Z is for Beyonce and himself. Okay. Jay-Z is not trying to uh help the community. Not bringing a casino in the middle of Times Square. You're gonna raise the rent even more. Y'all know y'all rent is out of control. I saw somebody living in a box for $3,000 a month. I was horrified. I watched online on YouTube. It was somebody living in a box. She didn't even have no closet space. I was like, what the fuck? $3,000 a month. You know what that casino would have did? Man, I'm gonna stop it. Y'all gotta quit buying. Y'all gotta quit letting people's celebrity power get at y'all. Jay-Z, you funny. Jay-Z funny. But the opposition had its own case to make, and the case ultimately prevailed. Casinos weren't just dangerous to the theater community, they argued. They rarely bring the revenue they promise. One of the casinos in upstate New York, for instance, is pursuing a deal with the county right now worth up to $585 million to stay afloat. Wow. So lots of risk with little reward. What's more, casinos tend to blend money from the sorts of communities Jay-Z says he represents. Promises to the contrary were empty and even harmful to the community, kind of like the ones coming from the former casino owner who's now in the White House. And in New York City, that man is hated more than Jay-Z is loved, right? Okay, which is interesting. Y'all crazy. I don't know what y'all doing. Jay-Z interest in a casino goes back more than 15 years. At the time, New York State was looking to build a slot parlor near the decrepit Aqueduct horse racing track. One of the bidders trapped Jay-Z for informal marketing and community advice. The bidder eventually won, beating out companies like SL Green. But after that deal collapsed, Resorts World, a subsidiary of Malaysian firm, was given the Aqueduct contract instead. Today, that depressing slot parlor not far from JFK Airport is the most lucrative gambling hall in America outside of Las Vegas, bringing in nearly $1 billion in annual gaming revenue. Jay-Z and Roc Nation continue to explore casino deals. Then in 2022, SL Green chief Mark Holliday was chatting with Jay-Z courtside at a Brooklyn Nets game. Of course it would be a Brooklyn Nets game. Maybe they discussed they could try together to get into an even higher stakes contest for one of the licenses for a full-blown casino in or around the city. Holliday and Perez were both honorees at a local charity dinner. A few days later, they started ironing out details. Roc Nation announced its involvement in Times Square casino bid at the end of the year. Not long after, the Broadway League, which represents theater owners and producers, began mobilizing support against it. What unfolded was a miniature political campaign similar to what was happening at almost a dozen different sites. On one side, the promise of more work and the buzz that comes with billions of economic activity. On the other, fears that the casino would leach more from the neighborhood than it would add. Definitely. Every casino bidder promised hundreds of millions in improvement to the community around them. Each casino bid faced opponents who noted those payments were rounding error compared to the money to be made. And what's the deal? Why would you want a casino in the middle of town? You got Atlantic City that's not that far. Why, like, do a deal in Atlantic City? These people are greedy. Greedy. Like, now you want to set a tourist trap for people. Can't get out the casino, and the people in the community in Manhattan gambling up all their money and shit. Boy, these motherfuckers, they something else. Some greedy motherfuckers. It's just greed. I wouldn't be surprised though if one day they do eventually get it. Not them. Jay-Z ain't gonna get it, but the next crew. They already done dumped Jay-Z. They already know Jay-Z. Jay-Z. Let me give some advice to Jay-Z. I don't know nothing, Jay-Z. I'm just a pop. I'm just over here, you know, in my little life. That ain't little. It's a big life. You know what I'm saying? I'm just over here. To you, it might be little, but let me just talk to you for a minute, Jay-Z. You keep being a mascot for dumb shit. Okay. I just think that this might be the time that, well, I know it's probably already done. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if white capital is just spinning off of y'all right now. They running. Because what they have realized is what I've always known. You're a bubble. You and your wife. But why you still have, you know, while you're still looking like winners, bow out gracefully. Quit trying to sell us bullshit. My name is Lene. That's the Carters. My name is Lene. I got plenty. Remember Lenny on Good Times? He always had the jewelry and everything to sell. I got this to sell, y'all. I get this. You know, you can come buy it. That's the Carters. The Carters are Lenny from Good Times. You gotta run from them. What is y'all doing? They always got something to sell. And it usually ain't good for us. They said, but there are still plenty of locals in the neighborhood around Times Square. Let's see. This lady didn't even want to. I said early on, Times Square group approached State Senator Liz Kruger. She may have been a diehard gambling opponent. I voted against bingo in church basements, she once told me, but she controlled one of 6 votes in the Times Square CAC. In a Zoom meeting, she said the casino team asked her if she wanted to meet Jay-Z. Why? I don't like his music particularly, she recalled saying. They're like, you don't want to meet Jay-Z? Well, you know, he's married. You know who he's married to. She didn't meet Beyonce, nor did she get together with Mr. Carter. Not even when Jay-Z went up to the state capitol in Albany this May. But the Times Square casino crew used other ways to make their plan more convincing. They recruited former NYPD Commissioner Bill Bratton, who came up with a $78 million plan to secure the neighborhood with drones and cameras and private security force. They pledged to buy tens of millions of dollars worth of theater tickets. Oh my God. To boost the Broadway economy and pour cash into charities. And they made the point over and over again that operating casino in Times Square isn't like doing it anywhere else. It's not like we're trying to stick this casino building between some residential neighborhoods. That is like super quiet, Perez says. Oh, you already did that. Did you already do that to Brooklyn? This is crazy. This is supposed to be lit, live, and loud. But there are still plenty of locals in the neighborhood around Times Square. On October 16, 2023, the Times Square Casino hosted an 8-hour free buffet for locals. The rapper Fat Joe, Rock Nation client, showed up to lend support. One prominent local community advocate told the reporter she wasn't that impressed. I think it's really a predatory business, said Alita Lafrug, president of the Tenants Association at Manhattan Plaza, a massive apartment complex with subsidized units for people working in the arts. Lafrug grew up in Atlantic City. She explained where casinos promised to lift up the local community, but did opposite instead. The association joined the Broadway League's No Times Square Casino Coalition. And the funny thing to me is that these casinos are trying to move outside of Vegas. Redo Vegas. Vegas is fucked up. Like, redo Vegas. Quit trying to come outside and be greedy. Y'all so fucking greedy. Calm down. It's crazy. This is the following September. Lafreg struck a more conciliatory tone. here to listen to what they have to say, what they have to offer, she said, has executives from Rock Nation and SL Green prepared to make a presentation. I'm not, you know what, this is a very interesting article. I am not surprised that Jay-Z has failed at this bid. Jay-Z was not I don't know. That's why I said I don't know who these business people went to go get Jay-Z to be the mascot for this. But Jay-Z obviously had lost a lot of the community's trust, it sounds like to me, when he did the Brooklyn Nets thing. But what sometimes white capital think is if it worked this time, this man will work again. But no, people this time you was dealing with the Manhattan, which is very I think Hottie Toddy in New York, and the theater group, which is Hottie Toddy. They like, nah, baby, we don't want nothing. The influence, was it ever there? I'm not quite sure. But anyway. Okay. So Jay-Z and Beyonce. You can't win them all. I mean, you don't probably win that many, but moving on. FTC accuses Live Nation and Ticketmaster of illegally reselling event tickets. What did I tell you? I told you this was already quietly, it was some noise about this in the industry, and I won't be surprised if this case becomes bigger and we even hear more scandalous things. Okay. This is from CBS News. The Federal Trade Commission and state prosecutors on Thursday filed a joint lawsuit against Live Nation Entertainment. Ain't them Jay-Z bosses. And Ticketmaster, accusing the event services of allowing brokers to scoop up event tickets and resell them at inflated prices. Ooh, wait till the Security and Exchange Commission get deep. Listen, I ain't gonna tell that in the street. I already told what I heard was going on up in there. Anyway, inflated prices costing consumers billions of dollars. In a legal complaint filed in the U.S. District Court for the Central District of California, the regulatory agency also alleged that Live Nation, which owns Ticketmaster, used a bait and switch pricing tactics by advertising lower ticket prices than what was actually available to customers and by selling millions of tickets to brokers, often at a significant markup, despite limits that artists had placed on such sales. Rumors are the artists, let me just say, have our artists placed those things on sales? I hope they don't find out that the artist people have become involved in scalping. Because I be hearing a lot of rumors on these streets. And artists, they don't make a lot of money. Why would they work for the benefit of the thing if Ticketmaster and Live Nation was sitting up here working with the scalper? Do you think the pole broke down? I ain't got no money, barely making no money. Artists are saying we gonna make the tickets cheaper. Maybe, I don't know. You never know. I know this. When you hear that Security and Exchange Commission, you should be scared. The FTC alleges that in public, Ticketmaster maintains that its business model is at odds with brokers and routinely exceed ticket limits. The agency said in a news release, but in private, Ticketmaster acknowledges that its business model and bottom line benefit from brokers preventing ordinary Americans from purchasing tickets to the shows they want to see at the prices artists set. I'm giving the duck lips. The agency said Live Nation and Ticketmaster business practices violate the Better Online Ticket Sales Act and other laws barring deceptive sales tactics. Joining the FTC suit were attorneys general in Colorado, Florida, Illinois, Nebraska, Tennessee, Utah, Virginia. It should not cost an arm and a leg to take the family to a baseball game to attend your favorite musician show, FTC chairman said in a statement from 2019 to 2024, consumers spent nearly 83 billion buying tickets through Ticketmaster. The platform controls at least 80% of the tickets sold by major events venues, according to the agency. Listen, let me tell you something. If y'all think that Live Nation, who is the biggest broker, let's say you think if this is true, what the Securities and Exchange Commission is saying, you think these artists have major contracts with Live Nation. A lot of them, when Live Nation takes on these shows. Let's think here. You think these artists just, okay, we gonna set the price and Live Nation just say, okay, we gonna make it bigger, and the artists don't know, these broke artists that don't got no money nowadays, and some of them got 360 deals. The only money they make is sometimes from touring. You think that some of them ain't in on this scap? Just my guess. Just what I heard on these streets. What I heard on these streets allegedly was the artist got to look nice, and they say, we set a price with it. We don't know. We're going to sue this and that. We're going to do this. But some people say y'all in cahoots with Live Nation. Oh, God, I can't take it. What is going on in the world? I didn't say it. Don't come after me. I'm just telling y'all what these rumors are on these streets. What other people are saying. And the Security Exchange Commission probably looking into. Because I heard the rumors are they getting ready to probably bring back payola cases. Uh-oh. Not payola cases. Not payola in 2025. You talking about 1988, 89 payola? Oh, what y'all done did? They was able to got in the sky. Yes, rumors. Lord, not the payola. Not y'all coming back here with some payola. They thought, I guess they, because they found new ways people thought to deal with payola. But the rumors are, wait a minute, it's not a rumor. This started 7 months ago. FCC launches probe into iHeartMedia's alleged payola practices. Funkmaster Flex claims Drake is 100%. Drake can't complain about no pay. Drake, to be a biggest artist as you, I guarantee you have a lot of payola. You can't be talking about they little Kendricks. They not like us. They not like. You got mad at that. But boy, if they look at a payola, they gonna look at your ass too, and they gonna find a lot of it, probably. Allegedly. Talk about, so he gonna bring the lawsuit. Can I do my Negro, please? You gonna bring a lawsuit. Boy, you probably one of the biggest. Man, they build the monster. How you think that little old song, They Not Like Us, and all them hits you had on, you the big monster. You think they ain't payola somebody to play your shit? Come on. Oh, God, what's going on? Funk Flex. What's Funkmaster Flex? This was about a few months ago. This is November 2024. Drake is 100% right. National play per song. Drake don't dollars for play. Please. Urban radio too. This is why independent artists don't rise to the top. God, that's so funny. This is gonna be funny. The Security Exchange Commission, they out here doing real investigation. This rabbit hole probably go deep. Woo woo. I mean, they'll probably change the forever how the music business is. If they really want to go, but they won't go into that deep of a rabbit hole because it will just disturb the masses. Not a good thing, man. It would just be so disturbing out here what y'all find out about what they doing. It's just I think it would be shocking to people to find out what is done to get them to listen to the crap that's on the radio today. I mean, like I said, that's an old thing. It's old. It's not a new. It's not a new thing. Okay. So I'm not surprised. If they're launching investigations all around into stuff like this. This is just not surprising to me. Okay. Okay, we're almost coming to the end, y'all. Okay, y'all seeing a lot about Charlie Kirk's wife. Y'all looking into her background and stuff like that. Okay, I haven't looked yet, so I can't really speak on it yet. Maybe next show. Let's see. I'm trying to think, is there anything else I had to talk to y'all about? I told y'all I don't believe. Okay, so I could be completely wrong about Jimmy Kimmel, but listen, I just don't believe people was watching late night like that. No way. I just don't. I just believe it was a thing. Sometimes you can use different ploys to get people back into where you need them to be. Okay, and that's just my personal opinion on that. Okay, I just feel like late night has had probably a battle staying afloat anyway. Like, that's just my opinion. Okay, y'all ain't gotta go with my opinion, all right? Okay, Mario addresses claims that he doesn't like black women. Says, I'm so tired of the black women slander. Black women are loved and needed. Listen, I believe black men you can marry somebody from a different race and still have respect and love for black women. I am not against that. Sometimes you just happen to fall in love with who you fall in love with. But I do believe in the industry. They do, to me, there is a certain type of man. Black women are lifting them up, putting them up there all over the place, and they don't really like you. I'm not saying this is Mario, but he's clapping back at critics claiming he only likes white girls because he's pregnant, got a Mexican girl pregnant, allegedly. Okay, and then and I think black women, here's the thing, black women, these guys get into an industry where they start to see other kind of women, other kind of things and stuff like that they've never been exposed to in their lives, all over the world and stuff like that. And suddenly, sometimes, not all the time, I'm not saying this is Mario, but some of these men take for granted the women who have been at their side for many years, supported their career, supported them and everything. And they get caught up into all kind of superficial things and all kinds of stuff. And yes, in the end, sometimes end up coming back and begging you and stuff like that. And black women, I just believe we have to have greater standards for ourselves, greater standards about what we believe and what we accept. You know what I'm saying? We really do. We really got to have greater standards about even the entertainers and stuff we like or we get into, we lift up, because some of these people just use us as a stepping stone. They're not interested in black women in their day-to-day lives. I'm not saying this is Mario, okay? But I'm just saying in our day-to-day lives, how black women live, they only want black women to support them in their quest for fame and riches. They can't sell that shit off to, like, Mario. I mean, he ain't probably got a big old Mexican girl crowd. There's probably some Mexican girls that come to the show, like Chris Brown gets some, but you ain't got the majority that's really putting that lift up is these black girls out here. Okay. And then, but they, a lot of times, Black people will see them as partnerships. Black men in those industries won't see Black women as great partners. But you'll allow them to build your career. Black women are great for the building of careers, but they only good for baby mama stuff. Because when a woman doesn't respect herself, I expect men to respect themselves and respect her to be the man and be respectful. But we have a lot of men that are willing to make, and we have a lot of women that have to take responsibility too, but we have a lot of men who are willing to make Black women easily certain baby mama stuff like that, but not really invest in the community, okay? Invest in having Black families. That's all I'll say on that, okay? So maybe we need to watch a little bit more closely and be a little bit more discerning. But Mario says, hey, Black women deserve to be respected. Gay. All right, okay. He said, I like good energy. Who loves me the way that's healthy? Could be Black, white, Mexican, alien. I dated an alien before. It was great. He followed the post with a photo of himself and read, and I mean that from the heart. Okay. Yeah, and that's good, Mario. I just hope the succession of the women that you talked about, you had a bad time with, weren't all Black, and then suddenly you just like, oh, I'm okay, I'm healed with this other one. But you know, it happens, okay? Child, he just might have fell in love, okay? That's all I say on that, okay? All right, but we, you know, Black women, you just have to be more. We just have to be very discerning of people who are, you know, on who are for us and who are not. Okay. All right, you guys. I feel like I think I've said everything. I'm pretty sure there's something that's going to come on after the show that is going to, I'm going to really I'm going to be like, oh man, I forgot to talk about, or something like that. That's how it usually happens. But you guys, I'll try to come back again and discuss it if I missed something. Okay. So you guys, I hope you enjoy the show. I gotta get to my homework, child. I stayed on here longer than I thought. I was only supposed to stay here a little bit, and I got to talk with y'all. Okay, y'all enjoy the show. Remember, you can hit me up on the Carlotta Chat Room Facebook page. You can also hit me up on Carly's_Galaxy on, what is it, Instagram, and I guess there's a Threads link there. You can also hit me up on C Chat with Show and Carlotta72 on Twitter, and Keisha Carlotta on TikTok. Now, remember, you guys can write me directly on where I pay attention mostly, the Carlotta Chat with Facebook page. When you guys DM me on there, you can DM me on Instagram. I do get some on Instagram, and you can DM on for questions about the show and stuff like that on TikTok also. Okay. All right, you guys, I am out. I will see you. Wait a minute, child. I don't know where child. Hold on, y'all. Okay, Lord. Okay. We're getting this together. All right, you guys. I will see you. You have a good rest of your day. Enjoy your day. I am out. Okay. Have a good one. Let me leave y'all with some, I don't know what, some music into space. All right. See y'all. Bye.